Okay, greetings friends, welcome to the channel. Vorm here. Oh, have I got an adventure for you? Maybe. I'm both excited and trepidatious about this one. Vagrus, the Riven Realms. So what do we got here? Oh, you're trying that one. Yep, I'm trying that one. It's time. It's time. I've been keeping my eye on it for a few years now. It's time. I think I am old enough and mature enough now. I can handle it. You'll see why I'm laughing here in a short bit for folks that are not in the know. So yeah, Vagrus, the Riven Realms. I'm not sure how much explanatory, knowledge I want to lay on you initially, other than, in a nutshell, in a very, very inadequate nutshell, we are going to be playing as a Vagrus. That's a title. That is the leader of a caravan or an armed troop. So, as the picture kind of indicates here, we are going to be the Vagrus of this caravan. And it's going to be our job to stay alive in a horrifyingly dark and gritty post-apocalypse fantasy Romanesque Bronze Age world that has been decimated by the gods because this Romanesque empire just declined into such depravity and cruelty. The gods basically went insane for a bit and smote the entire continent mightily and then peaced out. And then they said, whoops, our bad, we're out of here. Unfortunately, on their way out the door, leaving this reality, they forgot to close and lock the door behind them. And, other things have slithered into this reality to further wreak additional mischief and mayhem upon the poor survivors of those calamities. So yeah, what we've got here is a very, very deep and layered world building, kind of married to a caravan traveling mercantile or mercenary troop that we're going to be controlling. We're going to roam the landscape and try to keep ourselves alive and grow our wealth and power and so on. So many things to talk about. So before I get into some details, I need to do a few things. First, I'm going to play the introductory kind of movie video that sets the backstory of the world and such. Once that's done, I need to give a few warnings and notifications, and then we'll actually dive into the gameplay stuff. So, that's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead and do that. Let's go to extras. I'm going to hit replay intro. We'll watch this little movie intro, and then I'll talk. I'll do some talking. So here we go.
The River Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs. Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality, arose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the river realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the river realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
Okay, so there you go. Backstory. 1 second. All right, so there you go. That's the back history of the world we're going to be adventuring in as Vagrus, leader of the Caravan. So I need to go over a few things. So some warnings and some notifications, and then we'll actually jump into some gameplay. So first up, this game has words. Then it has more words, and it has a lot more words than that. And then you multiply that number of words times about 1 million more words, and that gives you an idea of how many words we're going to be encountering in Vagrus. It's an extremely dense, wordy, packed with detail environment with just huge amounts of history and dialogue and storyline text and so on. We're going to be reading a lot. So, if you have even a mild allergy to words and the printed text, peace on out, exit stage left. Get out right now. As I'm warning you right up front, I'm going to be reading a ton. So, just be advised, be aware, and if you don't have tolerance for that kind of thing, just get on out of here. All right, next up. This game is filled with adult themes and language. It's a very dark, descriptive imagery, profanity, and prominently features the Bronze Age equivalent of unpaid interns who are not allowed to quit. So if you're sensitive to that, or whatever, again, you might not want to stick around for this one. Next up, the map. So I've seen in my brief research a lot of grumbling from players that are horrified, dissatisfied, or annoyed by the fact that the world map that we're going to be shown in-game is not fully traversable. Only a small rectangle of that world is the area we can adventure in, and there are invisible walls that are going to block us from getting outside of that rectangle. So the world map, I believe, is mostly there to provide kind of positional references when characters in the world mention a location or mention an event or so on. You could zoom out the map and you could say, oh, okay, there's Sherwood Forest over there. Some guy named Robin is doing stuff. Great. I can't go there, but now I have some idea of spatial reference in the world map that's where that thing occurred. But we're locked in a box, and I'll kind of show you the general bounds of the box, but just be advised that that's a thing. Apparently, a lot of people get really annoyed when they find out that that world map that they were slavering over and excited to go explore, they can't. So the DLC opens up another section of the world. We're not going to be worried about that DLC. That's mostly late game, end game type content. Should there be continued interest in the game, both by myself and you, the viewing audience, that I continue to play it for an extended period of time, we may eventually work our way to that kind of DLC content. We'll just have to see how things go. Next, the game is apparently very hard and frustrating. It pulls no punches, has a very steep learning cliff. There's tons of noob traps in the version of hidden and delayed interactions and consequences that you might not know about or understand at first. So we're going to stumble across a bunch of those, I'm sure. The interface, how to call it? Somewhat inadequate or uninformative UI UX. It's functional, but definitely has gaps in providing the player with direct information they might need to make decisions, or tucking the information in areas that is not obvious to go look at without extensive play or researching out of game. And there's a healthy dose of just sudden, instant death, totally random events. No fault of your own, no way to prepare for it, no way to know what's going to happen, just you're moving along like normal, bam, you happen to roll a bad encounter and you get wiped out. So that's another thing I see a lot of complaints and grumbling about. But as part of that, this is a rare game where it appears the developers and the community in general actually encourage save scumming, aka making saves often specifically to try to counter that type of thing. So if you are saving regularly and have the autosave going regularly and a random encounter completely wrecks you, you just load up a save. It rolls the dice a different way the next time, and you don't get wrecked, and you just continue on your way. So for this first initial playthrough, we'll probably be heavily leaning on that, depending on circumstances. My normal inclination is to play hard games on hard difficulties in permadeath type modes, but I do need to get at least an initial understanding of the gameplay elements and such before I start jumping into that kind of setup. So We'll lean on it somewhat. It really depends on what's going to happen and whether it's just total ignorance on my part that got me killed versus a truly unavoidable, totally random thing that got me killed. So we'll see. But we're not going to be Iron Manning this one initially. All right. And then finally, spoilers. I am aware that there are going to be some Vagrus experts out there that have hundreds of hours of play, and you're going to be really excited to explain to me all the cool things I could be doing and all the places I could be going and all the companions I could be picking up and all the best trade routes and where to go and what to do. I don't want to know any of it. Shut up. Don't tell me. As in all the games of this type that I play, I'm initially only interested in system and mechanic clarifications that I'm obviously struggling with during the stream. Interface elements where I don't know where to go look, that it's there, but I just don't know what to look at specifically. If I ask a direct question, feel free to answer in chat or later in the YouTube comments. If you see me looking for information, feel free to point out where it's at. If it's on the screen somewhere and I'm just not seeing it, that kind of stuff, perfectly fine. Happy to receive your help. Do not tell me the best trade routes. Do not tell me where the companions are. Do not give me any of that kind of spoilery information. That's part of the joy of the discovery of the environment, and I want to learn and figure out and struggle against that stuff myself. So just stick to mechanic, system, interface type help when you see me not seeing an obvious piece of info. That's pretty much it. I think that's mostly it. But I fully expect I'm going to make hugely ridiculous and embarrassing mistakes. I'm going to miss obvious information that's on the screen and I could have known about and I failed to notice. It's normal with this kind of thing, with especially a game this dense, with interlocking systems, hidden delayed consequences that I won't understand. Decisions I'm making now are going to bite me in the ass 10 turns or steps away from the settlement or whatever. So we're going to have a learning curve there. All right. So with all that in mind, you have been thoroughly warned, forewarned and forearmed. You can leave now, or you can join me on this hopefully interesting and entertaining journey. I will be reading the majority of the text out loud until either my voice gives out or I get sick of it. One or the other, whichever happens first. I've got a fairly pleasant speaking voice and a pretty good command of the language, so What I am not is a trained voice actor. I'm not going to be doing a bunch of funny voices for all the characters and so on. So, don't expect that. But if you are, as I know 2 or 3 of you in the audience, enjoying listening to my content of various games as a radio play while you're at work, you might get a kick out of this because there's so much really, really cool and well-written world-building, descriptive text, and storytelling that it's probably going to be pretty interesting. So, but I can speed read 10 times faster than I can narrate. So occasionally I get frustrated and tired, and I just quick scan and move on. But I'm going to try to avoid that initially. Oh, I know what I'm in for. I've played a tiny bit, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 days in game, just moving around, doing a few things to get the basics of the interface understood and how to move around and do a few things, but that's about it. So, but I've already been somewhat inundated with the text. So we'll see how long I can keep it up. We might have to make this one a more shorter duration streams with Vagrus, a couple hours instead of my usual 3 or 4 hours, just so I can continue speaking constantly with reading all this text and not go crazy or lose my voice. All right, so there we go. Hopefully, people that join in later, get the message, especially about the spoiler thing. So feel free, if I'm not seeing somebody trying to spoil me in chat, tell them to shut the hell up. I want to avoid all traps, all spoilers. I'm totally blind. Come on, Flame Dance, you know me. I am perfectly fine with screwing up magnificently for your guys' enjoyment. So, I'm sure I'm going to make an absolutely terrible character. I'm going to miss all the consequences. I'm not going to be able to meta build anything. I'm just going to, I'm going to wing it, and we're going to go with it. So, no, don't tell me. All right. I think that's enough of the warning stage. We're already 18 minutes in, and we haven't seen a single speck of gameplay yet. So let's dive on in. We're going to hit new game. Now, there is 2 different modes. We're going to play the correct mode, the Wasteland mode, of course, not the easy mode. And we are not going to be doing the tutorial section. There is a separate tutorial you can choose to do that's kind of like a standalone scenario that's totally disconnected from the main game, which is an open world survival trading kind of game. We're not going to be doing that. I know about it. I kind of have read up on the general idea of it and what it does and doesn't do, and I'm not interested. So we're going to be jumping straight into the main game in Wasteland mode. There we go. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. From Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley, 1818. All right.
Ah, yes. A Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
All right, so this is where you get the choice of playing that tutorial section I talked about. That would be the first option here. Tell us your tale, old man. It'll at least help kill the time, and it mentions play Pilgrims of the Wasteland. So that's that tutorial area. We're skipping that.
Fair enough, good master, fair enough. You don't want to hear tales of trusts betrayed and of bad decisions? It makes sense to me, with you also being a Vagrus and all that. Tell me, have you been long at it? And where do you come from? It is not often that I can talk to one of your kind.
All right, now we're going to go into character creation. So, let's see. I'm not going to try to explain most of this because I can't meta build. I've never played the game before, so What I am going to do is just pick a few specific things, just because that's what I picked earlier, and I looked through a little bit of it. So we're going to go with the human Tarkian version. I don't know if that's a race or a geographic location or what. I think it's just a geographic location. But humans, Tarkian, we're going to get +1 persuasion perk, +1 savvy perk, and +1 Tarkian awnings equipment. And that gives us basically lower consumption rate for workers, scouts, fighters, and slaves. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to take that. Next up, we get to pick a background. A number of choices. I'm going to go with Ranger, which gives us a Beast Lore perk, improved hunting-based chance and lure away. The hunting perk, again, hunting-based chance increase and lure away. Survival, foraging-based chance, and I have no idea what a pristine trophy does, but we get one. Hurrah. And finally, we get to choose a calling. We're going to be choosing between Trader, Mercenary, and Explorer, and I'm just going to choose Trader. Later, when I know what's going on and we do a new run, we'll pick other things, or I'll be able to explain kind of the differences, but for now, Trader sounds good. So we're a traveling merchant, nomadic trader interested in transporting goods, news, and people to the faraway reaches of the Empire for profit. It's listing a bunch of bonuses: evaluate, traverse. We get some reputation with various trading houses, and additional interns, some extra workers, an extra storage equipment slot, and some beast lures. And I have no idea. Lures prepared to attract all manner of predators. Lure beasts away from you or into a trap. Huh. Alright. Whatever. And finally, we select an ambition. So this is where we pick either wealth, renown, free play, or knowledge, which apparently is linked to the DLC. I'm just going to stay on wealth. Goal is to amass a great amount of wealth so you don't have to worry about the future ever again. Use this ambition if you want to focus on trading, resource management, and the economy aspects of the game without having to get into quests and stories. Renown. Become well known and respected in society. One of the most famous Vagri ever to travel the far reaches of the Empire. Choose this if you want to focus more on completing difficult quests and working towards unlocking a higher standing for a number of factions. Continuously securing funds to be able to do these is still required. Or free play. No victory condition. Play freely for as long as you desire. You can only win the game if you change your ambition later through options in a story. We'll just stick with wealth. Alright, now we've got the complicated stuff. So, on this screen, we get to spend points to increase stats, attributes, perks, and so on. Insight is kind of the experience system in the game. So my understanding and my limited, very, very limited play so far is that you get insight mostly through travel and visiting new places. When you discover or visit a place for the first time, you're likely to get a point or two of insight. And then there's going to be storyline stuff and quests and activities and so on. They'll also give you insight points. But these are then spent on this screen to raise various things. My very rough knowledge is that authority represents your ability to have companions do jobs in your caravan. So you can have up to 6 total. I think there's either 6 or 7 or something different companions. I forget how many there are that you can have. But in order to increase this, I would have to spend 3. Increase authority. Yeah, increase authority costs 3 of the insight. So I could raise this to 2 by spending 3 of my insight. Resourcefulness is a regenerating resource that powers these leadership abilities. So currently we have the traverse ability because of some of the choices we've already made. This allows us to turn march points, which is forced march points, into movement points on the campaign map. Then there's things like exploit. You can use resourcefulness to re-roll available contracts and settlements. So when we go looking for contracts from the trade houses in a settlement, if we don't get any we like, or we just want to re-roll for whatever reason, we can do so by spending some of our resourcefulness. And it regenerates, I don't know if it fully regenerates every day or what the regeneration rate is, but the higher the number we have of resourcefulness, the more we can trigger these various abilities we might have. And I think they have other uses as well. This one's expensive, though. This costs 8 points to increase it even 1. So I'd have to spend 8 of my 10 to move this from 3 to 4. For the moment, I'm not going to touch either of these. We'll be able to gain insight in-game and be able to spend points whenever we want to as we just travel around. So I'm going to hold off on doing these for the moment. I think likely I'll want to go to 2 authority fairly quickly if we get a couple of early companions, which I think we'll have access to in one of the early cities, depending on what we do. All right. So I'm just going to spend some points, and again, I am not trying to mate a build here. I'm just going to take things that seem interesting. I do like the idea of exploit. I don't know if I can know the game well enough to recognize the opportunities. So costs 4 insight to pick, and then 5 resourcefulness to use. I only have 3 resourcefulness, so I would somehow need to get more resourcefulness in order to actually be able to use that. So, I definitely don't have enough points currently to do it. What else we got? Aid, 3 resourcefulness. Bring back companions from a down state. Boost. Use resourcefulness to temporarily raise the level of companion skills in combat. Command. Unlock advanced actions in crew combat. Empower. Raise crew morale when camping or resting. Maybe we'll take that one. Yeah, let's just take encourage. So it only costs... now it won't tell me. Where did I get the number earlier? Unselect it, and then it'll tell me. So yeah, it costs 2, so we'll be able to use that one. Alright, what else? Let's take a few of these. I'm not sure the kind of power balance between taking attributes versus taking profession skill points type things. I do want... Let's see. Kind of like Battle Brothers. The comparison I've usually seen made is Sunless Sea married to Darkest Dungeon married to Dungeons and Dragons in a Bronze Age collapsed Romanesque desert hellscape. That's kind of the references. So combat is one of the weak points of the game, so I'm not probably going to be too excited about the combat systems, especially the crew combat. I've seen so much grumbling and complaining about the crew combat. So we'll see when we start to experience it ourselves. But yeah, it's pretty abstracted. All right. I want... Let's take another point of survival and hunting. I want to try to be as independent as I can and be able to forage while we're out and about. Then we'll get some healing and herb lore, I think. Alright, so we're done. So herb lore gets us a foraging chance increase. Survival gets us foraging increases. That's hopefully going to help us forage for food and supplies while we're traveling in the wilderness off the roads. And we'll be able to continue picking things as we gain more insight later. But that's enough to get us started. So let's just jump in so we can see some actual gameplay. Vormithrax is my name. I would like to be this person here. He has a magnificent mustachio. There we go. So our general character bonuses listed, and here we are.
Curious, curious. I am humbled to have made your acquaintance, good master. I'm sure that many great adventures await you on your journeys. It was an honor talking to you, good master, but these old bones are aching, and I must rest now. Oh yes. Perhaps we will talk in the morning. Perhaps we will. May the gods guard your sleep.
Alright, I think that is the last of the voiced exposition in the game. There may be more later that I'm unaware of, but for the little bit I've played, I don't think there's another voice line anywhere. So it's all reading from here. So sleep slowly but steadily begins to overwhelm you. Is it the late hour, the exhausting journey, or the mesmerizing voice of the old man? Whoops, whoop, and it disappeared. Thought it was going to stay until I clicked. There was only like one more line. All right, so here we go. Here's the start of the reading. So many words. You've been warned. Okay, here. Morning creeps up quietly on the arid wasteland. You wake up and step out of your tent and into the crisp air, yawning, stretching, and blinking in the orange light of the rising sun. The fiery orb's warm rays are welcome, in stark contrast to how you all will feel in a few hours. Your crew, groggy still after an early start, shambles around camp, busy with their chores. Some of them are still huddled around their dying fires. You look at the horizon to the north and find it empty against the morning haze. Yet you know that beyond that jagged line, the way station of Kerac awaits. A short stop on your way to a proper city. Less than a week of trudging through the plains, and you reach Torzag's shelter. You hope to rest there and find much-needed work. In fact, this was the reason you took the Comitatus north to Terra Supra, the lands beyond. New opportunities. The previous Vagrus of this traveling company perished several weeks ago, and even though you worked for her only for a few months and are indeed quite new to this wandering business, the crew elected you to take her place because she trusted your abilities. Morning, Vagrus. One of your guards walks up to you and draws you out of your reverie. That old geezer you talked to last night is about to leave and wanted to say goodbye before he does. You nod and head to the campfires. You find the old storyteller in the process of packing his meager equipment while whistling a tune. We're going to talk to the old man. You clear your throat discreetly. Thank you for coming, good master, the old man says, still fiddling with his sling bag. I will not go to Torzag's shelter with you. My path leads elsewhere. I'm grateful to you for letting me travel with your Comitatus. Ah, yes, and I hope I've earned my keep. Because he had no coin, nor anything of value, when you came across him in the middle of nowhere 3 days ago, you allowed the old man to travel with you and eat from your stores, in exchange for entertaining your crew with stories along the way. And true enough, no hour has passed since without a tale being recited by the strange fellow. He even made an effort to entertain you while sitting at your campfire last night. Be that as it may, you allowed him to tag along as an act of kindness. The old man turns to you and smiles innocently. I may be able to repay you more properly by giving some advice, if you don't mind me saying, good master, you are only starting your venture as a Vagrus, and perhaps you could use such wisdom. I can listen to advice or tell him I'm not interested. We'll go ahead and listen. All right, first off, there are a lot of rumors going around in a city as great as grim Torzag, but even in smaller settlements too. Listen to these, for there's often truth to such talk, and gossips can guide you to business opportunities, valuables, or interesting places. Often, fresh news is the most valuable commodity you can possess, especially until you have sizable cargo hold to haul large amounts of goods across the wasteland. If I were you, I'd find some work as soon as possible, preferably something your crew can manage without much difficulty, perhaps from one of them trading houses. You can also find some passengers who are willing to pay for the security your Comitatus can provide, yes? Almost every Mancio has folk looking for traveling companions. The old man scratches his scraggly beard thoughtfully. Before setting out, it is best to decide what your destination will be and prepare accordingly. Wandering around aimlessly in the wasteland is a sure way to get killed or to starve, good master. Yet, one's chances are better when the burden can be shared with trusty companions. I'd start looking for such folk as soon as I'm in a big city. There's a man I know in Torzag, now that I think about it, who could help you with such matters and more. You tell him you're listening. The chap is called Braxius. Strange fellow, really, not only because of his peculiar lineage. You'll see, he runs a shop. Ah, yes, he'll buy any trinket off you that you do not need any longer. He may sell you something useful, too. Who knows? I'm just remembering now, he once sold a Gavranian wood talisman to an orc mercenary who... The old man stops abruptly. When he notices the expression on your face, he smiles apologetically. Where was I, good master? Ask him where you can find this man called Braxius. Oh, aye, Braxius' shop. just east off the Calrish Market, in a small street that is a dark stone statue of Mercatus over a fountain. Best of luck. Irafons be with you, good master. I'd better go now. You thank him and wish him well, then take your leave. You watch the old man as he walks away alone into the wasteland. It's time to set out. Torzag's shelter is waiting. But before that, it would behoove you to visit Kerac Station, only about a day's travel to the north. You can obtain much-needed supplies and news there, maybe even find work. Who knows? You set out across the wasteland. End. All right, beginning text exposition complete. Now we can talk about and explore the interface. For anybody joining late, rewind to the beginning. I give very, very detailed warnings and notifications about what we're experiencing here. So, this is how the world is represented when we're zoomed into our movement mode. The world is divided into these nodes, and the numbers that you see are the movement point cost for our caravan to move from point to point. So if I want to move from where we're at to here, it's going to cost 3 points. Here to here, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. Roads are usually the fastest way to move, but they have other issues in the form of tolls that you might be required to pay to move along the road, and or bandits that are camping the road. As well as there's very little forage available on or near the roads. So if you go off-road out into the wilderness area, better chances at forage, other dangers, but less in the way of tolls, no tolls, and such. So we're going to have to make decisions on whether we want to travel on roads, off roads, and so on. But that's all we're looking at here. So we have 8 movement points, and we can know how far we can go just by counting them up. If I click on a point, it tells me here how many points to get to that spot. So it's 9 to get to there. So that's not going to work. Only 7 to here. We could move to this location. And that's basically how we travel with our caravan, is we just decide how many movement points we're going to use, click whichever node we want to go to, and we move to that spot. Now, we could have encounters along the way, and various things could happen. There's a lot of things that we have to consider and deal with. Let's do a brief tour of the interface real quick. So other than this map area and clicking to move, I can either say to move here or camp, and it tells me the movement point costs. Now, we can move further than our standard movement points if I declare a forced march. This has negative consequences in a number of ways, and we don't want to do this unless there's a real pressing need for reasons, and we'll kind of investigate those a little later. But it is available as an option if we're desperate. So this interface up here is giving us an overall information feed on the status of our caravan. We have our normal movement, our force movement. We have our morale, which is currently keen, which is kind of the description of level 7. And there's a maximum of 9 to all 4 of these entries. So we're at keen morale, which is level 7. We're at 7 obedience, which is called compliant. We're well rested, which is our vigor section, again a max of 9, and we are currently well fed as a group, as the caravan as a whole, and again max nutrition is 9. It's important to try to keep these as high as possible. You get benefits for high numbers, you get negative consequences for low numbers, and it all kind of interacts with each other and overlaps in various ways. This shows our cargo capacity. We've got 60 cargo capacity being used out of 107 maximum. We have 10 days of food for the caravan, and that literally is just how many supplies divided by our consumption rate. If we add people to the caravan, consumption rate goes up, and the number of days we might be able to travel on the same amount of supplies goes down. So we got to balance that depending on the needs of the moment. We might need to slim down the caravan at certain times. We might need to bulk it up at certain times, and we have to make those judgments as we go. All right, then we have an attack and defense value for the current build of our caravan. And then we have 3 different kinds of currency, brass, copper, and silver, essentially. But they're referred to here as Bros, Learg, and Changers. And it's a simple 10-to-1, 10-to-1 type of thing. So 10 of the brass or Changers makes 1 Learg or copper. And then 10 of this makes 1 of that. So pretty simple, very straightforward. So that's our general info screen. And if we click on it, we can come to a more detailed info screen where we can see all the specifics. So all of the standard stuff we saw before is up here, but then we have several categories that we can look at for details. This is the crew of our caravan. So we currently have 8 unpaid interns. We've got 5 workers, 2 scouts, 7 fighters, no outriders, which literally are just fighters that are mounted on the horses. So I could click this button twice and we'd have 2 outriders, but only 5 fighters. So the mounts would get used like so. So now it goes to 0 horses and 5. But we don't need that unless we're anticipating a fight, which we're not currently. And then we have 1 huge beast of burden that's carrying the bulk of our cargo. 72 cargo space on that one thing. Now, horses also provide cargo slots if they're in this category and not currently being used as outriders. You can load the horses up for 7 each. The unpaid interns can carry 2, and the workers can carry 1. The scouts and fighters don't carry anything. So between those things and some items we have, it comes to our total cargo, which is listed here. So if we look at our cargo screen, we have slots and we have basically quantity or weight value. So it's a dual system in that regard. The higher we can move, I think it's every 20 cargo capacity opens up a slot is the way it works. Something like that. So we've got a few items we started with because of our choices. We have the Tarkanian awnings, which is giving us some consumption bonuses. We have extra storage, getting +7 beast cargo from having that equipped. And you can see there's other things and other slots. We open these up, I think, mostly through having our companions assigned as deputies. So we have a companion screen. We have none currently, but it's a full-on RPG style system with they all have their own stats, their secondary stats, resistances, skills that they use in combat, equipment, and so on. So it's a fairly complex system, and then companions can be assigned as deputies once they qualify for a particular position. So certain companions can be trained to do certain jobs, essentially, and once you've met the conditions, you can assign them to a job that has various benefits for the caravan. We're not going to go into all of them now, but the guard captain, for example, gives combat bonuses. So you get plus flee, plus defense, plus combat strength, and extra vigilance. As opposed to like supercargo here, which is plus 15% cargo space and plus 10 negotiate, and opens up a miscellaneous equipment slot. So there's various reasons you're going to have your guys assigned to these jobs for both commerce and defense or attack reasons. We have none of those to worry about currently. We'll get to those eventually, but we'll be dealing with this screen a fair amount, and of course the crew screen. Lots of info here, so a lot of the info is contributory to the other stats and such, but I mean, it shows again our 4 main categories here, shows us what our upkeep is, what our consumption rate is, which is based on how many people and animals we have in the caravan. And then we also have to maintain a specific level of workforce in order to maintain the caravan, to work with the animals, load them, unload them, feed them, etc., and do all the tasks of the camp. So the more of the various things we have, the larger the workforce we might need. Workforce is primarily generated, I believe, by the interns and the workers. I don't know if the other ones generate any workforce value. But again, this is a number we have to keep track of, and we have to make sure we have enough to meet needs, but not excess. So it's a constant balancing act of people and objects and items and cargo slots and weight and supply and so on. And then we have a detail screen at the bottom for both crew and any passengers we might have picked up. Mainly it's this section here, and I guess the combat section that you'd be looking at for our daily upkeep that we have to pay our workers and so on. So that's kind of that screen. This just goes directly to some of the secondary screens. Then in the upper right, we have, I guess, a calendar. I don't know how this works yet or what it does particularly. Oh, we have a glossary. That's where that is. I didn't know where that was at. All right, I'll have to come in here and read. I'll do most of the reading off camera. I've been hunting around for this kind of a thing. I found the other elements, but I didn't know that was a button right there. So, yeah. All right, so we have some explanatory stuff. I have no idea how detailed this is and if they actually give you all the info, but I'll do some off live stream reading through this at some point. Then we have two little entries here. This is the map. So I talked early about the map. So we are the red flag. It's always, it's not always centered on this map. We're always centered on this map. You can't scroll this screen. It's always you dead center, and you can't click and drag or WASD or anything to move this screen. If you want to see outside the bounds of the area it's showing you, you have to go to this map. So we're going to be going to Kerac Station, then we're going to go north from there up to Torzag Shelter. And the farther in we zoom, you can see things kind of fading in and out depending on our zoom level. So if we zoom out, here is the entire continent. And this we can kind of move around and scroll and pan. So the thing I talked about at the intro is that while we can see the entire continent and it looks cool and you get all excited for visiting all these places, you can't. Currently, the game is restricted in the base game, not including the DLC. The base game basically is where we're at as the bottom edge of the map, and it's a rectangle about like so. That's the entire playable area currently. Just this section. So we're going to be able to freely wander around in this rectangle and no further. Invisible walls all the way around. So this whole map is more referential so that you understand info that characters in the game might talk about. So they might say, oh, well, I'm from the Dark Moor, and now you know where on the map the Dark Moor is, or whatever. They might refer to a location, and you'll be able to scroll out and kind of see and get an idea spatially where that might be. But you won't be able to visit there unless it's in this rectangle. The DLC opens up kind of a little tall rectangle here that then connects to the Bronze Desert. This is what the DLC unlocks. And this is a high-level endgame type area that you would visit after adventuring around significantly in the main area. You would then be able to take your caravan, your advanced caravan, and move up through that corridor up into the Bronze Desert for further adventures. And that's all that the game currently contains. I don't know how much more of it they're planning to implement over time, but yeah, there you go. We're going to be spending our time in this little box right here. Now, within this box, you can adventure for hundreds of hours. So as long as you're aware ahead of time that this is the limitation, I don't think it's a big deal. But a lot of people got kind of bent when they played for 50 hours, then hit an invisible wall when they were trying to move north to wherever or south to wherever, and then they realized that they're constrained to this area. But we already know ahead of time, so I'm fine with it. But as we zoom in, we get more details, and there are a lot of things on the map, and we can't see everything yet because we don't know the region or the area, so we're going to have more stuff be added as time goes by. There's quite a few settlements and so on that are on the map that we just can't see. So, but we're going to be going to here first, and then we'll work our way up to Torzag. All right, next up. This button is for price history on trade goods. So as we visit locations, each location will get a column that we can compare trade good prices. We can sort and filter the various types of goods. We can sort up here. And it shows how many days of travel or how many days since you last got a price update from that location. So prices do shift over time. So the info you'll be looking at in these columns, you have to kind of adjust your expectations because they will have shifted depending on how long it's been since you got a price update from that location. But just to kind of show you, that's the list of different trade goods divided into a few categories. And there are going to be some trade goods that are always good on certain routes to some degree or another, depending on the shifting of prices and such. Just how much impact the player has on the trading market, meaning saturating delivery of an item somewhere so the price drops so much it's no longer profitable, I'm pretty sure is a thing. But I don't know how much shifting there is outside of the direct interaction of the players. We'll kind of figure that out as we go. But there are a lot of factors involved in the trading system because of the detail level and the difficulty of moving from one place to another. So combine that with variable amounts of demand, you might see, you're comparing two columns, you might see an awesome deal. And you load up a huge amount of that item at the buy location, make a trip to the sell location, expending tons of supplies and maybe getting into fights and losing a few people, which costs you additional money. You then get there and find out you brought 200, but when you sell 10, all of a sudden the price is no longer profitable and you're now selling for a loss. That's going to be a tough one to figure out is the demand and all the hidden costs associated with a journey of that type, because you're paying supplies, you're paying fees to your workers, you're covering losses in goods and people and materials. And then at the destination point where you're trying to sell the goods, even if you did sell well, the cost of supplies at that new location could be so high, it wipes out all your profit margin on the trip. Just trying to buy supplies at a double or triple rate from the previous place you were at. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of issues there. So it's tough. It's tough. I'm just warning you ahead of time. It's not nearly as simple as it might seem at first. Oh, just see a good buy and sell price, go for it, make money. Absolutely not. It's nowhere near that simple. So just be aware. All right, moving on. We have this, which is kind of a lore reference book. As we learn about things, it'll get entries in this kind of lore book. What do they call it? They call it the Codex. So we'll open that on occasion and take a look. We have kind of a tracker here, our Comitatus log of the Caravan. So it'll show us, and we can jump into specific screens that show us the objectives we're on, rumors we've heard and can act on, tasks we've undertaken, news of the region, and so on. So a lot of good general tracking information available there. Over here, we have our influence tracker. And this will take us to our character screen, which is what we looked at when we were building the character. This is where we come to spend the insight we've earned to raise the various skills and stats and perks and attributes. And finally, we have this button here, which is the journal that the other tracker took us to. All right, so that's pretty much it for the interface. So currently our situation is that we have no cargo. We've got about 500 supplies, and we have a little bit of cargo. We have 21 luxury wine. So we're going to try to sell this for a good price. Probably I'll hold that until we get up to the larger city. But we're going to just work our way up to the small settlement and see what we can get done there. So let's go ahead and get moving. And as I said, I can't scroll the screen up. We just need to go here to Kerac Way Station, though. So we'll just click on it. It's only going to cost 6 of our 8 movement points. And now we have this where we can actually enter the station. The Comitatus descends into the great basin that shelters Kerac Way Station from the worst of the jagged wastes, dust, and rock storms. Even at this distance from the walled compound, you can see that the outpost is vastly overcrowded. Dozens of comitati and literally hundreds of travelers swarm the confines of Kerac Station, which is now surrounded by makeshift camps and improvised mencios. What is going on here? You arrive at the gate. A pair of gruff-looking mercenaries walk out to meet you and give you half-hearted hail. The first one to speak is a tall, lean, tainted fellow armed with a barbed spear. Gotta say, you folks just keep popping up like wraiths around a rotten corpse, he sighs heavily. Alright, move your arse over there and try to settle in without a fuss. He points to a large area outside of the low stone walls just northwest of the way station itself. Comply quietly or ask what is up with his attitude. We'll just go quietly. You nod to the mercenaries and lead the Comitatus to the designated spot. The crew strikes camp and everyone is settled in after a quarter of an hour. Time to explore. Okay, so info. Kerac Way Station encampment, sheltered in an arid basin surrounded by stone walls and guarded by grim mercenaries. Kerac Station provides all the illusion of safety most travelers crave. Yet a quick glance at the many signs of past destruction tells a tale of raiders, rock storms, or worse. Despite rebuilding time and again, it is not long before the jagged waste claims this place for good. So we have a stories option, the guarded compound. Travelers gather here to enjoy a little rest before leaving Kerac. So on this screen, we have a few buttons. This is kind of the story button where we can get kind of news and rumors or story type info on this location. We have a market. So in the market, we can buy and sell supplies and trade goods. We have the Mancio. This is where we can basically hire and fire folks. We can get more unpaid interns, scouts, workers, and fighters, or we can sell them from our own group. We also have a rumors section. Let's go ahead and read the rumors here. It says, trade routes blocked. Might this be an opportunity in disguise? So we're going to throw a few of the changers, the smallest cash unit, to buy that rumor. Then we're going to check for passengers. Travelers turned back from the south. So they want to go to Tor Zag's shelter, which is exactly where we're going. And they're willing to pay 6 and 7. So we can click on it. Click on that. Yeah, so we can click on that and it shows the destination they want to go to on the map, which is fine. That lines up with what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, that will take them to that location. Now, depending on who they are, the money they pay and so on, you could be just doing charity work if it's beggars wanting to relocate, or it could be merchants that are willing to pay a higher value or give you some other items. So you do want to kind of pay attention and just not automatically take them. We'll go ahead and say yes to that. They have now been added, and we're only partially defended now. Guarding your camp effectively puts a strain on your guards, so we might want to hire one more guard to help. We need X number for the number of people and passengers that we're transporting. And then trade news. Receive 1 local news. We'll go ahead and exchange news. This refreshes news from this location. We basically give them news of where we've been, and we get news in return type of thing. And this is where we can also say we want to rest for the day, which would replenish our movement points, and then we can take off again. There's also a beast section, so we can hire additional horses or beasts of burden. And there are 2 types. They're the standard horse and beast of burden, and then there are reptile versions, which are better for the desert environment. So we have reptile mounts and a reptile version of the beast of burden. So, and that's it on that section for the most part. We don't have a factions group here. None of the trade factions have representation here at this location, and then we can just leave the settlement. So let's go back to the market. So the luxury wine we're carrying is not in demand, so we're not going to sell it here. We won't get any kind of a decent price out of it. I don't know if there's anything in particular that we actually need to buy here to try to transport. So we will... we'll see what else we got. We do have 2 slots open. I might buy some wine. Let's go look at this list real quick. Not you. You. Rumors, trade routes blocked. So, Kerac Way Station is abuzz with traders who now have a lot of unsold merchandise on their hands due to the blockade down south. They say that wine might fetch an especially good price up north. So the source location is here at Kerac. So we might buy some wine to carry with us up to Tor Zag. I think we'll be okay on supplies till we get up there. So this is a very important number to watch right here. How much you're having to pay for supplies. That is one way the game will get you if you're not being very careful or don't know ahead of time that you might see a big bump. Because this is the lowest denomination, but you need so many of these things, it adds up really quick. And because it's the lowest denomination, you can't subdivide it. It can't go to 1.1, 1.2. It jumps all the way to 2, which doubles the cost of your supplies, which can very quickly get out of hand. So be very cautious and watch this number anytime you go somewhere. The other danger point, as Flame Dance mentions, is that you want to be very careful about trying to expand your Kamatati too early, because there are kind of cascading consequences or delayed consequences. So if I went and had the money to buy another Beast of Burden, I'd buy it, but then I would also need additional workforce to keep it running properly, and the Beast of Burden and the extra workforce is going to cause our consumption rate to go up, which is going to then be compounded by a sudden supply price spike, and you could very easily put yourself into a spiral that you can't recover from. So you want to be really cautious at first to build up a fairly good size nest egg of cash before you start doing too many crazy upgrades. Because you'll be tempted to go, oh, I got cash. I'm just going to add more warriors. I'm going to add more workers. I'm going to add more horses. I'm going to carry a bunch of stuff. I'm going to put myself at no money trying to do this fantastic delivery, only to find out when you get there, you can only sell one of the thing that you brought for a profit and everything else is sold at a loss. And the supply cost has gone up and you have no money to replenish the supplies you spent to get there. And you're basically screwed. So just, be very cautious. Assume the worst. Assume you're going to get screwed at every turn. The game world hates you. The inhabitants of the world hate you. The interface hates you. And the RNG especially really, really dislikes you. Just despises you. And is going to do everything it can to basically wreck you and ruin your day. So if you take that as a basic assumption, it's always going to be true. You got to act with that in mind. So just be cautious, go slow, build up, then pare down when needed, then build back up again, that kind of thing. So I'm aware in general terms that that's things I need to be cautious and careful of. I just don't have any actual practical experience with it yet. So while I know it generally, I don't know how to specifically deal with it quite yet. So I think we'll look around a little more. If we have space and money, we'll buy a little bit of wine, and then we'll take off up north. Let's go back to the story section here. So guarded compound. Let's click on that. The whole compound is crowded with people, travelers, comitatus crews, vagrants, mercenary warbands, trading house agents, smugglers, prostitutes, thieves, and of course, beggars. The largest stone building housing the tavern is filled to the brim with customers. So much so that you cannot get inside for a drink. Luckily, they had the sense to set up a bar outside too, and the kitchens try to serve as many of the clientele as possible. Should you be into jokra meat steaks or fried horv larva, that is, the noise and the stench of sweat and booze make you feel like you're in a war camp. Asking around, you hear several organizations looking for transportation of goods and personnel. So we can eat, drink, and chat with the travelers. We can talk to the agents of factions looking for someone to haul goods and take passengers, or we can leave. Let's go ahead and click on Talk to the Agents. A quick survey of the options reveals several factions that are willing to pay you for hauling their cargo and taking some people to Torzag shelter to the north. There are agents of a trading house trying to cut losses, as well as a bunch of shady fellows, possibly smugglers, who promise that you will not regret taking them and their stuff to the great city. Another group, some pilgrims who wanted to reach a shrine in the south, now wish to turn back towards the shelter. Last but not least, there's a company of foreign merchants from the Dragonlands looking for a new market. Whoever you choose, you will not be able to strike a deal with another group, and you will have to make sure that the goods and passengers arrive at their destination safe and sound. So we've got choices of dealing with the trading house agents, smugglers, pilgrims, traders from the Dragonlands, or don't make a decision. I'm going with the trading house. I'm going to try to go a trading, caravanning specific focus on this run initially. And so we're going to leverage all we can on the trading aspects. And I know from a early game survival aspect, the key thing I need to focus on is the trading house stuff. Because when we do jobs for them, they provide the material. I don't have to buy the trade goods. They dictate, hey, here's trade goods, take it to this place. So I just have to transport it and get a reward. In addition, when I complete jobs for the various trading houses, we raise our faction level with them. And at each level, we're going to be able to increase kind of the types of missions, the payout of missions, and get better stuff. So it's going to be important to run as many trading house missions as we can. And there's different kinds of missions, which you'll see here in a bit. All right, so we're going to do the trading house option. The deal is struck fairly quickly. The 3 trade agents of House Aquo want you to take them, along with their bodyguards and a sizable cargo of blue crystals, to Torzag shelter. As per the agreement, you have to travel to the city without unnecessary delay, and they will add their remaining supplies to your stores when you arrive. You'll be handsomely compensated when you reach the shelter's gates. So, you'll load the goods upon leaving Kerac. Make sure you have 1 empty cargo slot for their goods before leaving. Okay? And then we're back to the eat, drink, and make merry, or leave the compound. We'll go ahead and click on that. So, after ordering a mug of mushroom ale and some food, you sit down on a bench under dusty awnings and take a look around. There are all kinds of people here. Ferocious-looking orc mercenaries arm wrestle at a long table nearby, laughing out loud at bawdy jokes. A tainted woman juggling knives with 6 long, 3-jointed arms. Intimidating Dragonkin warriors in colorful steel armor. Tarkian traders lounging on large pillows around a small portable table with cups of coffee and a hookah. A dwarf selling scavenged junk from the back of a tumbled-down cart. Even weird insect people you've never seen before, chittering away in their melodious language. There are some other Vagri you can talk to and soon learn the reason for the state of this place. Apparently, the Imperial legions have closed off the only pass through the Cepus Mountains in the south not too long ago, turning back anyone and everyone on both sides. This plunged the travel plans and business enterprises of many into utter chaos. People suspect that this is a reaction to the strange earthquake several weeks ago and the terrible windstorms that followed. The winds have been crazier than usual ever since, and many people engulfed by them complain about having nightmares and constant headaches. So, a lot of things we can ask about. I don't know how many of these things I'm going to explore at this point. We can ask about the blockade, the legions, the winds and dreams, or if there's available work. Let's focus on asking if there's available work. You learn that while most travelers are trying to figure out what to do now, the representatives of several organizations are looking for Vagri to take their cargo north, mostly to Torzag's shelter. So that we knew about, and we just actually did. I'm going to skip the rest of this for now. Ask people if oh yeah, so we're going to say do something else and leave the compound. All right, so we've done the story stuff. We've still got the option to trade. We need to make sure we leave one slot available for the caravan, the job we just took to fill that slot. So we have one other slot available, though. I think there's also an equipment screen, but we don't need any of this stuff currently either. We don't have slots or we already have the items, so I'm not worrying about that section. Let's go to the Mancio real quick. I think I am going to hire a fighter, which gets rid of the note here about needing more protection for the people we've got. I don't know if we might need another one after that group joins us when we exit, but whatever. And I think I'm going to hire a couple. There's 2 scouts available. I need to build up my group of scouts. Let's go ahead and hire a couple scouts. Now we have a little message up here again guarding the camp. So now we need more of these guys again. All right. I'm going to bankrupt myself before we even get out of the starting area. We're still almost or more than double the workforce that we need. So we're okay there. I could get rid of some interns or some workers. But I'm going to keep them until we get to the larger city. And then we'll make some adjustments. All right, let's go ahead and we've done rumors. Yeah, let's buy some wine. So I'm going to switch to that mode and then say buy. So let's see. It's 25 per stack. I can only do 1 stack, so it's going to cost me 5 of the broth. All right, that's fine. Oof, we are so poor. All right, so we've got some luxury wine, some wine to sell of our own, and then we're going to have this last slot available for the job we took. Next up, I think that's it. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the Mancio, and we're going to say to rest. And depending on the location we're at, we can choose various levels of rest and relaxation. Some of them costing extra money, and they provide various benefits. Right now, we're just sleeping on the stable floor. It's free, and we're going to gain 1 point of vigor for doing so. And that's going to reset our movement points, and we'll take off in the morning. We have other things we can do. I'm going to go ahead and set this to pay now. I want them to be paid daily and just every single time instead of paying them later. If we get so screwed on cash that I can't afford to pay them, we might try the pay later option. But for now, we're just going to pay them every day so that they stay happy. I don't need to have any discussions with the unpaid interns that aren't allowed to quit. Our workforce is fine. We are on sustained 6 nutrition. Let's go ahead and bump the rations up for a day. That's going to get us some vigor, some morale, and some obedience bonuses. And while we're camping out on the road or in the wilds, we'll have options to forage. And sometimes we can also have our guys do odd jobs. But right now, if I click on these two, it shows percentages and chances of what we could earn by basically having our guys do some odd jobs around the little settlement here. I'm not going to worry about that. I think there's vigor consequences and movement point consequences, so it costs 2 movement, which we do have. Screw it. Let's give it a try. We'll see if we get anything. Hopefully we don't lose any vigor from their efforts. And we're all set. Let's go ahead and hit end day. Damn it. So we failed. Our roll of the dice was a failure. We did earn a tiny bit of money, but we did lose a vigor point. So that kind of sucked. All right, here comes warning number 18 that the game gives you. Vagrus is a difficult game in a variety of ways. One of the most common mistakes you can make is to expand too fast initially, since nothing warns you of the more hidden economical consequences. Instead, focus on faction trade tasks. These will take you to new locations, and by working on them, you accumulate much-needed money reserves. Many mercenary tasks are extremely difficult for a new comitatus. Fighting outlaws or creatures is not an income source in general. Try to avoid conflict whenever you can, unless on an active mercenary task or quest to combat them. You're likely to run into a few death spirals before getting the hang of it, so do not be discouraged if it happens. If you feel that the learning curve is too steep, though, we recommend starting a new game in Dissonance Mode, Easy Mode. And once you're confident there, consider returning to Wasteland Mode. So, the game goes out of its way to warn players. You get warnings when you launch the game, and you have to literally hold the spacebar down to get past the warning that tells you you are going to be encountering many words and many difficulty. Once you get past that, you get further warnings, just to, shut up the whiners and the complainers that inundate the discords and the other sources complaining. So you can't say you haven't been warned. Okay. Now we're ready to go. So we've got 8 movement points available to us. We are keen, compliant, nourished, well-rested. So we're going to go ahead and leave. Load the cargo, put up the passengers. You're ready to leave Kerac Way Station behind. The people you have agreed to transport along with their cargo to Torzag's shelter. Eagler awaits you at the gate of the compound. So we got +8 Ceruleus Crystal and House Okwo traders join your comitatus. After your crew loads the cargo, your new combs take their place along the line and on the carts. They remind you that going anywhere else other than Torzag's shelter renders your agreement null and void. Yep, they really want me to go straight there, so that's fine. We are leaving. All right, we're just going to follow the road all the way up. So we are here, and we just need to go... Whoops, we are here, and we just need to go here. And it's showing some quest locations, so the traders and the travelers. We just have to go into the city to deliver them. They're not actually out on the sides or anything. So we're just going to follow the road straight up there. So it's 3 to 4 days of travel, theoretically. We have 5 days of supplies. Ooh, it might have been good to, buy a few more supplies. Just how close a margin is that? I think we can make it. We're in pretty good shape. We can force march the last day if we have to. Let's give it a try. Maybe we'll die before we even make it to the first real city. So we need to go to there. Travel. And we're gonna have to. We're not gonna acquire much in the way of supplies. Yeah, 0%. Small chance to get a few supplies, but I don't think it's going to be worth it. So as an alternative to acquiring supplies when you camp and end the day, you may also acquire supplies during the day. This can often be useful as the node you choose to hunt or forage on may have a significant impact on the results. In almost all cases, this will cost 2 movement points. I'm not sure what the rest of it said, but yeah, we don't have 2 movement points left. I'm just going to camp. We're going to switch back to the well-fed, and we're still on pay now. I'm not going to try to acquire supplies, and we're just going to post guard sufficient armed crew. No bonuses, no penalties. We could pick post no guards. We get extra vigor, but we lose obedience and morale, and there's a higher chance of us being ambushed. Or we can post... what's the difference here? Post guards sufficient armed crew. Post guards insufficient. I think we just don't have enough people for this choice. But whichever. We'll just do the standard one. Time to move. That's the full movement rate of 8 there. 4 days to go. Uh-oh. Sudden gales and odd wind are no strangers to wanderers of the wasteland, such as you. But even you have to admit that there is something different about these gusts. Almost as if there were voices on the wind, barely audible, just beyond the threshold of perception. Whispers. People stop in their tracks to listen and frown in concentration. The whole experience is quite unnerving. You calm them, ordering everyone to focus and get a move on. The crew trudges on, trying not to think about it. Eventually the wind dies down. Okay. Alright. We still got a ways to go. We're out of movement points, so we gotta camp again. No point to that one. I don't know if I want to drop my vigor. Yeah, I'm not going to. Still not in sight, huh? We're getting pretty close, though. I think we'll still make it. No change, no change. No. Yeah, we'll be okay. We'll get there next turn. All right, we got there. Look at that. The Comitatus is in sight of the nearby settlement, eager to get some well-deserved rest. But what do the people who you took on at Kerac say about all this? They seem happy to have reached their destination. The great Black Blood Mountain towers ahead, crowned with black fortresses and jagged battlements. The single, immense wall that blocks entry into the bowels of the mountain looms ahead. Your passengers are making ready to depart, but first they check their cargo. Everything is intact, so sometimes it won't be intact if you get raided or various things that might happen. Or you sell the items on accident, not remembering that they're part of one of these jobs. The cargo is in order, and your passengers quickly unload it. After giving you their remaining supplies, the one in charge hands you the agreed-upon fee for your services and turns to you before leaving. House Oakwo will remember this, Vagrus. So, we lose the 8 ceruleus crystals that we transported. We gain 150 supplies. We gain 50 points with House Oakwo. They have left, and we gained 26 Leerg, which is the middle currency. So, 2.7 of the brass. The passengers are gone, as is their cargo. They'll surely enter Torzag shelter on their own. As for you, the Dark City awaits. Alright, so we've made it to Torzag's. We've now got 4 days worth of travel rations, given our current level of people in our comitatus. We're only at sustained nutrition, though. Vigor's pretty good, almost maxed out. I'd like to get most of these maxed out. We might spend a day or two here at Torzag's, resting and recovering before we move on. There is a ton of stuff we're going to do here at Torzag's. There's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of places to go, a lot of story interactive things we need to deal with. So just fair warning, it's going to be a while before we leave this place. How far into the stream are we? We're an hour and 20. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. You reach the fortified gates of the great city. After waiting your turn in the line of chatting travelers, bleeding beasts of burden, swearing loaders, exhausted slaves, decrepit pilgrims, and fellow Vagri, you're greeted gruffly by guards under the shadow of the gatehouse. We can either approach the guards or decide to turn back and not enter the city at this time. We, of course, are going to approach. An inspection follows. You have nothing to hide, or at least there is no way they can find it. Or we can try to smuggle in illicit goods with a very low success chance. Try to bribe the guard so that the inspection is less than thorough, also low. Or decide to turn back. We only really have one choice here, so nothing to hide. After getting through the inspection, you're told that now you have to pay the gate tax. So we can either pay the gate tax, and it doesn't actually tell me how much it is, which seems kind of weird. I've seen a few times where I've had to click a button to agree to something without knowing what I'm going to be paying, which just seems odd. We can pay with goods. May not be cheap, but you need to get inside. Or we can swear to pay once we're leaving. It will cost more this way. You can show them your trade house license, which we don't own. Or you can turn back. We're going to just go ahead and pay the gate tax. So, apparently it's 3 changers, the lowest denomination. Issue of the gate tax is concluded, and you're free to enter the city. So why would they show that info? That just seems really weird. That they don't tell you how much it's going to be before you accept it. Alright, you head to Emancio immediately. Some passengers part ways thanking your services. So the travelers that we picked up have paid us, and they gave us an 18% tip. So we got 9 changers and 7 leerg. All right, now we're on the main city screen for Torzag Shelter. So the description for the city: the vast caverns and tunnels inside Blackblood Mountain merely gave refuge to war leader Torzag many centuries past. The imperial city of Tenebritris, or as people have been persistently calling it, Torzag Shelter, that sprung up there following the war, managed to transform into one of the most important settlements on the continent. Often referred to as Surgorod's City, the shelter not only houses the Cathedral of the Raging One and its immense Everdark caves, but is also a bustling trading settlement and the center of obsidian harvesting in the region. Thousands toil and haggle under its wrought iron chandeliers every day, while servants of the Master of Curses deal out justice in the name of their malevolent god. All right, pretty cool picture. Huge cavern facing outward at the entrance of the wall and a gate, and we can see the braziers that are chandeliers that are lighting the interior areas. Pretty fiery looking. Lots of story options. So we can go to a number of different sections of the city. The Civic District with inns in the shadows of public buildings. I think that's where we go to choose a rest option. The Undercity, the dark underbelly of the shelter. The Market District, the Temple District, and just explore in general. And then we have the standard other options. So we have the general market, and this time we have faction offers. So we have factions available here in the city that we'll be able to interact with. We have brought wine. So luxury wine is selling for 9 leerg, and the regular wine is right below that, selling for 3.2. Oh yeah, we have elves and dwarves and other kind of more fantasy standard races involved in the game world. In addition, we have the Mancio, where we can do the hiring and the firing, of course. The faction screen. So, a pop-up. Many settlements have faction panes like this one, where you can interact with factions with a presence at the given location. Each faction provides a variety of tasks you can take on. Tasks are procedurally generated, non-story related objectives you can complete for money and reputation with factions. You can take on tasks under the Available tab. Each has requirements including faction standing tiers and free cargo space. The Active tab is where you can turn in tasks if you're at the right place or discard them. Be mindful that doing so will result in serious penalties. The Rewards tab lists all the faction standing rewards you can potentially claim. You're unable to claim rewards if you do not meet the faction standing requirement or the faction's presence in the settlement is too low for the given reward. Note that you can only claim equipment and gear rewards once. Effects can be reclaimed if you lose them due to losing faction standing, but become eligible for them again later on. In this case, any level of the corresponding faction's presence is sufficient. By default, you can take on one task from a given faction, but a better standing allows you to take on more. So currently we're restricted to one task per faction. Now the factions are not warring necessarily, but are competing with each other. So there are friendly and enemy factions. If you do a task for one faction, whoever is opposed to that faction, you get negative reputation with. So it's impossible to get max faction with everybody, basically. You got to kind of pick and choose and lean into certain ones. How far you can get by doing all of them, I'm not sure. I don't know where the balance point actually is. But some of the factions hate other factions, and you just got to be aware of that. So, continue on that button. We'll take a look at this in a bit. We have those basic options plus all of the city storyline stuff. We should probably do the city storyline stuff before we start buying, selling, or doing other stuff, because we might need our available funds to do some of the storyline stuff. I don't want to lock myself out of the opportunity here before we engage with these. Or things that happen here might have a direct effect on my other choices. So let's investigate the city and the options there before we do the standard mercantile stuff. So let's go take a look at the civic district first. I think this will be pretty straightforward with just options. So we can visit the gardens. All right, let's read the text first. So in a city of perpetual twilight, the civic district is a welcome smudge of color and brightness. Lamps are kept lit day and night, while soft music and song can be heard from the windows of marble villas. Streets are kept relatively clean and are rarely crowded, apart from seasonal festivities and holidays, which usually turn the district into a sea of people and a storm of noise. We got a lot of choices here. We've got visit the gardens of La Vienna, visit the Arena Maximus, visit the Dragon's Nest Inn, visit the Bestiaris Arena, the public library, the infirmary, or leave the district. I'm not going to visit all of these places, but I don't need the infirmary. I don't know which of any of these are going to have storyline type stuff we might discover. Let's go visit the Dragon's Nest Inn first. Ooh boy, so much words. The famous Dragon's Nest Inn is close to the traditional border of the market square and thus in the vicinity of the city gate. The exterior is not much to look at, a hodgepodge of old buildings leaning together at the foot of a cave wall. A red dragon is painted above the entrance, above which rows upon rows of windows indicate that the rooms are carved into the rock itself. The inside is much more impressive. The skeleton of a huge dragon provides the frame for the common room, with its curling spine and many ribs serving as support for the ceilings and walls, while its immense skull was turned into bar. The bartender gives out beverages and takes orders through the half-open jaws. The decoration is lavish but old, completed with paintings, a collection of silver goblets, vines that run along the dragon bone, and 2 fireplaces that provide a pleasant warmth. The rest of the establishment is beyond and above the common room, carved into the rock. The clientele is quite colorful and lacks the usual local derelicts that most taverns of the world have. Instead, you can see wealthy merchants, vagri, foreign nobles, fastidious escort girls, emissaries, artists, mercenaries, and travelers of all sorts here. So, we've got various symbols above a lot of these choices. I don't know specifically what all the symbols mean. I mean, that obviously looks like a mercantile type opportunity. Purchase quality booze for your crew. This will consume all your movement points. So it'll... Oh, okay. So that actually shows me. So it's available daily, and it's going to cost 3. I wonder if the toll, I could have pointed at the symbol here and seen what the requirement was. Maybe I missed that option. Several passengers are looking for a comitatus. Talk to the down on his luck fella sitting in one of the corners. Story is in alignment. Codex entry. The Hollow Crags cannot be unlocked. Alright. Let's... I don't know where we're going to go yet. So I don't know if I want to pick up specific passengers. I definitely am not going to buy booze for the crew quite yet. Let's talk to this guy. You vaguely recognize the gaunt man with a shock of gray hair and silvered cuirass. He was at Kerac when you passed through. Hailing him and seeing his haunted expression, you ask the fellow what the matter is. They died. All of them, he says, not even looking up from his cup. McCombs, we tried to avoid the road tax, as you do, and took a little detour to the east. He now looks up and into your eyes, his gaze hollow. Have you heard of the Hollow Crags, friend? We barely entered its confines, but still, the bloody things were upon us like flies on shit. Nobody survived but me, but I can still see their eyes in my sleep. You ask the man if you can do anything for him, but he downs his drink and rises, shaking his head. Nah, but thanks. I've got to talk to the Axolites. Even without the bodies, my combs deserve some sort of funeral. Take care, you hear? He leaves, walking out of the common room with a sullen expression. Well, that was cheery. Okay. I'm going to leave now. I don't want to do either of these at the moment. I'll try to remember this is here before we take off if we decide upon a destination and come see if these are in line with that option. The gardens. The gardens are reputed as a place of tranquility and as a rendezvous point for lovers. On entering through the arch and its tall stone fence, you can see several people loitering here. Most of whom are clearly here for neither tranquility nor love, but look more like some kind of gang members to you. Take a walk, talk to the superintendent, approach the gangs. Let's talk to the superintendent. Living in an overgrown shack at the back of La Vienna's is the superintendent, whose task is to look after the garden. A lean fellow with brown, wise eyes and slight overbite, he welcomes you with a smile and a nod, then inquires how he can be of help. You have questions. Questions, I see. He smiles again. I'm not much of a sage, but I'll do the best I can. Ask about the gardens. The superintendent sucks in air audibly. Oh, this place. He's lost in thought for a few seconds. Is old. I guess I like that about it. A lot, actually. They say when La Vienna died, many of her acolytes dispersed to the four winds trying to outdo each other, and their master, really, by embarking on ambitious projects in the vein of what she had been known for doing. One of these students, whose name has been lost to history, founded a garden here of all places. No doubt wanting to demonstrate that fauna can evolve and survive in all but the direst of environments. Needless to say, the powers to be in this city at that time, worshipping dark gods and ruling with an iron fist, did not support these endeavors. Yet the student persisted, and by some kind of power that was at his command, managed to enhance and sustain growth in this cavern. Even to this day, this power remains. So much so, in fact, that one does not have to do much work when it comes to tending the garden. It tends to itself. All right. I'm not going to ask about the superintendent. Let's take our leave. Not going to approach the gangs. Where else do we want to go? Let's go visit the library. The buildings occupied by the Imperial Public Library take up 2 blocks on the western side of the district. The once pristine but now cracked and dirty marble main building has got to be among the greatest achievements in Imperial architecture. The amount of detail is simply amazing. Yet the sorry state of the stone is said to reflect that of the library itself. neglected by both imperial officials and common people who it was meant to educate and inform, it slowly regresses and decays into obscurity. A sign is attached to the gigantic double doors that would lead into the main hall of the library, saying, "Temporarily closed. Nothing to be done, it seems." Leave the library. Okay, maybe that'll unlock or open up a little later. Let's leave the district. I think we're done with that section. Let's go look at this. So, objectives. The pawnbroker. So, visit Braxius's shop in the market district. Let's go do that next. So, I want to go to the market districts and then Braxius shop. Sprawling over a dozen blocks close to the city gate, the Market District is a bustling, crowded place where you can buy and sell almost anything imaginable. Anyone entering the labyrinth of stalls, shops, and bazaars is constantly bombarded by a wide range of strong smells and invaded by the competing shouts of peddlers and salesmen. So we can visit the Calrish Market, listen to news and rumors, seek out Braxius's store. Lots of symbols there. Story is in alignment. The pawnbroker. Companion. Harvick cannot be present. Krifta cannot be present. Rencalian cannot. Gorgoro cannot. Alright, so what do we got? 5 different companions listed there. Or leave the market. Let's go ahead and talk to Braxius. You make your way to the part of the market district that lies just east of the Calrish Market. It takes a while to locate the statue of Mercatus overlooking a dried-up fountain, carved of dark stone, but when you do find it, you can see that the shop is indeed right where Agos said it would be. Huddled between 2 taller, decrepit buildings, Braxius' storefront is not much to look at. Only his name is written on the stone slab above the doorway. No sign, no display, no stall, nothing. Inside is a dark little room with a dirty counter, a strange odor, nondescript trash that barely passes for wares, and a demonkin fellow, fiddling absent-mindedly with some gadget. He looks up as you enter. "What can I do for you?" he says, with a ghoulish grin. He can't help it. He has pointed teeth, a big nose, and a crown of jagged horns that not only adorns the top of his head, but also the sides of his jaws. His eyes burn with a pale orange light, and he's surrounded with an almost palpable aura of nervousness. Surely this cannot be the man you were guided to. "Are you Braxius?" "Oh yeah, in the flesh." Braxius bows his head theatrically. You explain to him that an old wanderer called Agos told you to come to him if you wanted to find the right people for a comitatus. Braxius smiles his fiendish smile upon hearing your story. "Indeed, I do specialize in connecting such people. I might have someone you will find useful, and even help you in getting them to join you. And I owe Agos, so there. Everybody wins. I can ask him who he can get and what this will cost, or tell Braxius I'm not interested. Of course I'm interested. There's a lady with a very special skill set I have in mind for you. Not only is she really good at finding her way across the wasteland, but also comes in handy in a fight and can track down basically anyone. Or so they say. She's a bounty hunter. I was told she's looking for a comitatus to join so that she can traverse the realms and claim bounties as she does. I also heard she may have some kind of connection to the Imperials. But you'll have to ask her about that yourself. Her name is Krifta. When you ask him what you owe him for this, he simply shakes his head. Nothing. Like I said, I owe Agos, and he told me that I can pay him back by aiding people he sends to me. Odd, right? Well, not so much really. At any rate, I can arrange a meeting with Krifta for you. Minutes after you tell Braxius that you wish to meet this Krifta, he has closed down the shop and is leading you where you can talk to the woman. You soon arrive at a stinking watering hole at the end of an alley, somewhere between the market district and the Undercity. The sign has a feeding carrion bird on it. Underneath, crooked letters spell out the name The Grinding Gizzard. You find a quiet table in a corner while Braxius gets you a couple of drinks. By the time you finish the first, a woman walks up to you with a strange gait and greets you. Krifta looks like a cross between a human and some kind of carrion bird, clearly the result of the taint. She observes you with large, beady eyes and clacks her beak before addressing you in an almost chirping voice. So, they say that you are recruiting. Are you in need of a scout and a tracker? Then I can offer my services. Krifta here has been all around the continent. She's tough as nails and knows how to hunt down beasts and even men, adds Braxius. It's true what the demon spawn says, Vagrus, but I can see that you have questions, Krifta says, clacking her beak a few times. You do have questions for her. Krifta lets out a strange squawk that might be a chuckle. Ask away, Vagrus. All right, ask about the past, her skills and abilities, connection to the Empire, why she wants to be on the road. Let's do skills and abilities. I'm handy with a bow. I use it to down most of my prey, be it man or beast. She muses for a while before going on. So yes, I'm a hunter, a tracker, and a survivalist. Of all the related skills, ones that help out here the most in the Broken Lands. He's being modest, Captain. Braxius intervenes. Actually, Krifta here is quite a renowned bounty hunter and marksman. Also, a huntress like her and your crew can provide all kinds of benefits, like allowing you to save on supplies as she gets you fresh food regularly. Krifta does not say anything. She just bows her head slightly. All right. Connection to the Empire. Upon hearing the question, Krifta looks markedly at Braxius, but it's difficult to tell what she thinks. I work for the Empire often, she looks back to you, and so I have a good reputation with the Imperial Bounty Hunting Associations. I also may owe a certain official a favor or two. Nothing that would get you in trouble, but I may have to work on the side when we stop here and there. I figured it would be part of our cooperation. Why do you want to be on the road? I thought it was quite obvious, Krifta says, blinking. My work, that of a bounty hunter, takes me across the wasteland to faraway places all the time. Prey flees and tries to hide out there most of the time. I often travel alone, but lately I had rough encounters on the road, so I figured it's worth teaming up with others. Your Comatama seems promising. All right. And what is your decision? Do you need my services? Krifta clacks her beak excitedly. Braxius looks at you expectantly as he speaks. There's the matter of a small fee you pay to Krifta, too. It is standard procedure in these cases, Captain. So this time I know to highlight. 3 required. 3 of the middle currency, the Leerg. So take on Krifta and pay her fee of 3 Leerg. Hey, they actually say it in the text this time, too. Take on Krifta, but try to haggle her fee. Do not. I'm just going to pay the fee. So Krifta joined your Comitatus. -3 Leerg. Gained loyalty. Excellent, Krifta says as she pockets the coins. I'll buy rations and gear for the road with this. Also, there's a job I was offered, Vagrus. You might be interested in becoming partners? We can talk about this later. I'll meet you at the Mancio. The sooner we leave the city, the better. She leaves as you down the rest of your drink. Braxius asks you to return to his shop with him. When you arrive, he turns to you. Now that the Krifta business is taken care of, I can help you recruit another fellow. There are 2 options, in fact. Want to hear me out? So hear him out. Tell him you're not interested. And is this assistance for free, too? I'll just hear him out. All right, good. So there are 2 fellows here in Tor Zags that I could put you in contact with. Both have their own problems, so to say, that they are trying to solve. I can help you solve their problems for them. One, that is. I mean, I can help you with one of the 2, and you'll owe me for this. You ask him about the 2 individuals in question. One is a dwarf, and a particularly nasty one, but don't you get discouraged. Given the right motivation, all that nastiness can be directed towards your foes, Captain. He's a specialist when it comes to dwarfy stuff. You know, scrounging, smuggling, hoarding, business in general. And he's connected. He knows a lot of people in low places. The Demonkin pawnbroker scratches the base of a horn before going on. The other one is an orc, and a tough one. He's somewhat of a celebrity around these parts. Won a few gladiator tournaments years ago, but then he started to train folks who wanted to become warriors rather than warrioring around himself. And I guess now he's fed up with that and wants to travel and fight again. A real champ, you know. Let's go with the dwarf. Braxius gives you one of his predatory smiles. Good, good. As I've said, Kerac is a dwarf and naturally a businessman. However, his business has seen some trouble lately. So much so, Captain, that the little twerp is deep in shit, and if you want him, you need to pluck him out of it. Normally, this would mean forking over a substantial amount of coins, of the silver variety, to settle his extensive debts, but I can deal with that in my own way, yet in your name, and you would get the dwarf's gratitude and services. You would owe me a favor in turn, as I've indicated. You give it a thought, but after a few moments, Braxius clears his throat. Do we do this, Captain? Sure. Let's go ahead and do it. Now we're talking, Captain. The pawnbroker claps excitedly. All right, you just go about your business now. I need an hour or so to get things done. When you feel like it afterward, make your way to the old bathhouse in the Undercity. Normally, only the friends of the Loaders Guild may enter to do business with the Collegium, but tell them at the gate that you are there for Kerac and you were sent by yours truly. They'll hand over the dwarf, and you can tell him how it was you who paid his debts. I believe that he'll need little convincing to join your crew after that. You nod and prepare to take your leave, thanking Braxius for his aid. Don't thank me yet, Captain, and before you forget, you'll owe me, and a day will come when I'll need your aid. He winks and sits down behind the counter. You're out of the shop and on the streets again. So Undercity, Old Bathhouse, Loaders Guild. All right. Back to the main screen. Undercity Bathhouse. Tell them you're here for someone. Let's read it. So the old bathhouse on the northeast side of the Undercity is well known around the city as the Loaders Guild base of operations. The large decaying building of once beautiful marble pillars, arches, and domes, quite reflective of the fate of the Collegium, really. You make your way to the gates where a couple of rough-looking bouncers stop you. Entry only on official business, mate. The head guard lets you know without enthusiasm. We're going to tell him we're here for someone. Everything changes when you mention the name of Braxius and the fact that you are here for Kerac. The guards become friendly, and is that relief in their voices? Two of them escort you through corridors, marble halls, and hot steam rising from the baths to a back area of storerooms and cells. There they open up a cell with iron keys and shake a smelly dwarf from his sleep. The fuck now? The belligerent fellow growls as he's rubbing his eyes. Come to suck. Saucy language. His captors are clearly not amused by his shenanigans. A quick slap to the back of his balding head silences him, though he quietly swears revenge. This is the one! We're told he no longer owes the capos, so he's all yours. You're escorted back to the entrance with the dizzy dwarf in tow. Just when you're about to leave through the gate arch, the dwarf notices something and it yanks him out of his quiet stupor. He leaps surprisingly quickly to the side of one of the guards and grabs something on his belt, then tears it off. Before the guards could reach, he begins shouting, "You bastards! Thought you could steal this and get away with it. I'll tear you a new one." Kerac appears to be holding some kind of an object, golden and with a complicated design. The guards are shocked and getting angry, but the sight of the red-faced dwarf and the object, as well as their orders, give them pause. Alrighty, the one who had the object in his belt says eventually, "Keep the damn thing. It ain't good for anything anyway." There's a cold metallic click echoing down the marble corridor. A moment of silence follows. The guards look flabbergasted. Small droplets of sweat forming on their foreheads. "Aye, I'll keep it all right," Kerac hisses. "It's mine, and I'll make sure you will remember that." Tensions mount as the dwarf points one end of the device towards the guards. Then he looks at you, and it appears to have an effect on him. He sticks the device into his cross belt and shuffles out to the street, mumbling, "Another time." You follow him down the street where he beckons you into a cheap watering hole. An hour later, Kerac and you are sitting idly, sipping mushroom wine in the tavern. You've explained to him how you got him out of Collegium captivity and settled his debt. He's quite calm now, thoughtful even. Perhaps it's time to ask questions. Let's ask generally what happened to him. Kerac makes a grimace. I got royally in the arse, that's what happened. He says, clearly irritated. So-called business associates of mine conspired to bring me down, the bastards. All because I was more successful than them. I was drawing into a promising deal, and then I was betrayed. I lost everything. Kerac strikes the table with his fist in anger. The barkeep reaches for a club, but the dwarf smiles apologetically and raises his hands as a gesture of peace. Anyway, that's the short version. Then I couldn't pay the damn loaders, yada yada. I tried to get out of the city, but they pinched me, and I've been sitting in that cell ever since, until you came. What about the device? Oh, this? He puts the device on the table. A wooden thing embossed with gold. Something like a tiny crossbow without the limbs. A terrible magic weapon, mate. I use an incantation, and you'll be cursed so bad you'll beg for death. There's a pause. Eventually, Kerac laughs out loud. You went pale, mate, you did. He laughs for a few more seconds, rubbing his eyes, then leans back in his chair and considers you for a few moments. It's a pistol, all right. A ballistic weapon. My kin used to be able to make them, using black powder. Very rare these days, as you know, since my ancestors got themselves cooked right and proper. But some of these little fellas remain, and I got my hands on one. Don't bother trying to buy it or anything. Only I can use it properly, and you'll see how handy it comes. Oh, aye. Okay. What do you plan to do now? The plan is... Kerac trails off for a moment. The plan is to get back what is mine, sooner or later. For now, I wouldn't mind getting out of this damn shithole. I suppose you'll want me to work for you. It's fine. I gotta start rebuilding and busying myself. Alright, we have heard enough. This dwarf is a bit of a potty mouth. So the dwarf downs the last few gulps of his drink. I guess you haven't freed me for me good looks and charm, eh? I know how this goes. I'll work for you, and you'll see how good I am at what I do. But I ain't working for free. Nah, that ain't me. You agree on standard wages, and Kerac seems content. It's best I take me leave of the damn shelter for a while anyways, and I got favors to call in all over the region. I'm gonna go grab my stuff. I got some hidden stashes they never got close to finding. I'll meet you at the Mancio. You must see the doubt on your face because he adds, I ain't gonna bolt if that's what you're afraid of. A little trust here, eh? I do the same. It ain't easy to put me in trust in anyone after what happened. You leave the watering hole and go about your business. Kerac is a dwarf of his words, it seems. You do meet him at the Mancio, all packed up and ready to go. Okay, so let's see. There's more stuff. Let's see. Let's do... What are the other choices for the Undercity? Walk around the lakes, visit the pleasure houses, the bathhouse. Leave the city. So beneath the large main caverns of Torzag's shelter is the maze of tunnels and narrow streets that lacks the civic lights of the city and is thus in perpetual darkness. Locals call it the Undercity. Its notoriety is well-founded. Crime and desperation thrive in the twilight. Walk around the lake. The largest open part of the Undercity is a series of caves with dark, clear waters forming underground lakes at their bottom. Inventive residents found a way to make up for lost living space by building their dwellings on stilts and rickety scaffolding. Still, parts of the lake are fairly abandoned and even could be considered tranquil. You walk around the lakes for a while, painfully aware of the things watching you from their sable depths. Ask a group of wraiths hanging around the lakes about the area. Or leave. You approach the small band of wraiths and one of them moves forward, a smug smile revealing jagged teeth beneath a pale white visage. When you inquire about the area, the group laughs and the leader makes a not-so-subtle reference to the notion that some coin might help them divulge what they know. 7 changers, 1 for each of us. Fair deal, don't you think? Sure. After receiving your changers, the wraiths speak at length about the area, bloviating about themselves. There's a word I don't see often. Bloviating. Awesome word. Damn near nobody knows that word. bloviating about themselves and their influence in the process. As you continue to listen and ask questions, however, it becomes clear that various violent gangs are running the Undercity at large, and one organization in particular seems to become front and center, the Loaders Guild. Are these clickable? Nah. Oh, yep, they are clickable. All right. I'm not going to read all these journal entries. No way am I reading all that. Criminal Syndicate, evolved from Workers' Union for haulers, loaders, and porters, runs all sorts of illegal businesses in imperial cities. Alright, I'm not going to out loud read all of this stuff. I do has my limits. What does bloviating mean? First time you heard that word? Oh, it's an incredibly obscure word. I very, very rarely run into it. I love that they're using that kind of verbiage, though. So, bidding the race to elaborate further on the organization, you learn a great deal over the course of the next quarter of an hour, with the race visibly animated as they chitter on about the loaders. Eventually it becomes clear that there is little more to learn, and so you bid the ghastly creatures farewell. I think I might have had access to this from the earlier entries, or when we were in the place where we got the dwarf. This might have popped up, but I don't know if we got any other kind of information. Do I read my kick chat? Almost never. It's 99.99999% bots trying to get me to add their stupid Discord name and then rip me off. So I don't no, I don't pay much attention to my kick chat, unfortunately. There's almost nobody that watches me over there. It's rare for even one person to be watching because I'm not putting much focus on the kick side right now. I'm streaming to it, but I'm not actively trying to grow the audience over there or anything. So my apologies if I'm ignoring your comments over there. But given the ratio of bot spam to actual people trying to talk to me over there, it's just not worth my time. Okay. Walk away. Consider what to do next. Leave the lakes. The pleasure houses. The Undercity is famous for its many brothels and harlots. Most of them are slaves and belong to one of the collegia or another criminal organization. That means most of them are fairly clean and will not unexpectedly slit your throat. Yet one never knows in the Undercity. Buy some of your crew a good time, huh? 3 changers, that's not too bad. Pay extra for quality. Oof, 8. Buy some of your crew a good time. Make sure your collegia friends provide the right merchandise. So apparently we're missing Loader Guild's faction. We need Loaders Guild level 1 in order to get that bonus. Alright. Sure. Let's let the crew have a good time. Time flies when someone has fun, they say. The wide grins on the faces of your crew remain for a few days to come. +1 morale, -2 movements. Let's leave the Undercity. What's in the Temple District? Although called the Temple District, this part of the city, sprawling over spacious rock terraces in the northwestern section of the gigantic main cavern, houses not only temples and shrines, but government buildings and other offices too. Lit day and night by blazing iron chandeliers, the huge dark buildings loom ominously, reminding one that even below the surface, the gods rule supreme. Chanting echoes down the streets, and acolytes hurry quietly up and down the long stone stairs, carrying with them the scent of incense. So we've got the Grand Mortuary, the Cathedral of Sergorod, the authorities, or leave. Countless administrative buildings, bureaucratic centers, and obscure offices can be found in the confines of Temple District. Clerks and scribes run between them in droves during open hours, carrying large stacks of parchments, messages, and papers. Unless you're looking for something specific, you have no place here. So we can pay fines for crimes we've committed, go to the bounty office, purchase a license that allows for a larger armed force, inquire about obtaining a license for a permanent outpost. This is one of the endgame goals for, I think, the trader or wealth thing. And then leave. Let's just explore the city in general. Forever in the twilight of the gigantic cavern and lit sparingly by huge iron lamps, Torzag's shelter is a bustling city of many opportunities and perils. One can find all sorts of interesting things if one looks. So we'll go for a stroll and see what we can find. It's fairly easy to take a wrong turn in the Undercity. Streets, alleys, and plazas there form a labyrinthine system of tunnels where you can wander for hours without ever finding a way out. It was not a good idea to come here, and you're beginning to curse yourself for doing so when, in an especially decrepit part of the maze, you hear insane gurgling and howling coming from around the corner. Peering into the alley, you see a bunch of broken men, and from their hunched, mutated forms, you immediately realize they must be tainted. Sniffing the air, the two unfortunates begin to turn towards you and let out aggravated shrieks. Well, that's not good. We're going to die here, and I'm going to have to redo all this stuff. Try to hide. Low chance of success. Skulker plus 18. Increase your chance of succeeding in the test by 10% for 2 resourcefulness points. Enhanced leadership perk is required to unlock. Yeah, I still don't think that'll be a good chance. No matter what you try, the tainted keep coming. Soon they begin running at you, drooling, screaming, and waving their mutated arms around. Oh my god, we're going to die here. Oh wait, do I have companions? Oh wait, the companions actually do the fighting for me. That's interesting. How does this? I have not done this part, so I don't know how this works. So we want you up front. And you behind? Actually, he's got a pistol. He's got a bow. Yeah, I don't know how this is supposed to work. Alright, let's see if we can get our companions killed early. So a tainted madman and a tainted madman. Formation templates, huh? So you can pick positions and just hit the button and they'll all assume the correct positions. Works almost like Darkest Dungeon combat. You are presuming I have played Darkest Dungeon. Which, I believe I played a tiny bit, but I don't remember it. I know the basics of how it's supposed to work, but I don't know the specifics, so we'll just blunder our way through. I don't think there's anything else I can do right now. Open character sheet. I don't know what that button does. Run away? Don't engage in combat? I'm not sure. So, let's take a look. So, we haven't looked at a character yet. So, we have Krifta, whose perks are Skulker 2, bonus to ambush, strong-minded. Survival increases foraging, hunting, bonuses, beast lore, Venatorus, lots of foraging and hunting. Perceptive, dexterous, and tough. Okay. Vitality, armor, evade, power, initiative, accuracy. Downed vitality, regeneration, block, upkeep. Number of times a combatant takes their turn in a round. Okay. Various resistances. And then the skills that they can activate during combat. So poison arrow, quick bow shot, arrowhead applies a pain-inducing poison. Aimed shot, bounty hunter aims her bow bypassing armor with deadly efficiency. Suppressing shots, Krifta draws her bow and overwatches a spot with a precise aim shot. 100% accuracy, huh? But no damage? What does that do then? And defensive cut, dagger attack. Might be weak, but it confuses the enemies that they are more likely to miss. Okay. Melee skill. Can only be used from the front row. So we have positional things to deal with too, huh? So 3 ranged and 1 melee attack. And this shows what targets. Single character, single position. Alright. What do these arrows do? Oh, shows upgraded versions. Okay. No items. And then Kerac, pistol shot, gas bomb, salvaged rune, and lock and load. All characters in the front row will be targeted, but a single target is enough to use the skill. Okay. Devastating, but fairly inaccurate. So good damage, but low accuracy. Got pretty good resists, it looks like. Skulker, Alchemy, Engineer, Savvy, Persuasion, Con, Perceptive, History, Arcane Lore, and Evaluate 3. Better negotiate. Alright. Well, we'll do what we can. Let's see what happens. Round 1. Krifta begins her turn. So what buttons do we have? Forfeit active turn and replenish power. Character sheet, change defense mode, and boost skill. Use the combat skill at next tier. Costs 2 resourcefulness. But we don't have the appropriate leadership perk to unlock that ability. Okay. What? I don't understand if this is an ability she has that I activate, or if it's an effect she's currently under, or what this is. Can't click on it. Behind another character, which is giving her a minus accuracy. Oh, she's hiding behind my guy, and enemies attacking her are getting a minus 30. Alright. So it's going to be Krifta, then Kerac, then the 2 madmen. Initiative 3 plus 1, 6 plus 3, 7 plus 4. Alright. And then it shows statuses, vitality, and power. So that requires power, power, power. What takes vitality? Guess we'll find out. Alright, let's do... Oh, vitality's hit points. Okay, got it. Let's do it's an aimed shot. Actually, no, let's do a poisoned arrow. So why does it highlight that one automatically? Alright, so 13 hit points, 13 hit points. Kerac's turn. It's only going to hit the front row, though. Is this a way for him to recover the power and gain accuracy? Hey, none of that. So this one is buff, immune to fear, 1 damage, 1 poison damage over the next 2 rounds. Only got 4, so 2 hit points damage will finish that guy off eventually. Now they're on the front row, so we'll have Kerac toss the bomb. Let's do, I have to go to the detail screen. I can't get this to pop up the information on the specific option. That's fine. Concentrate the, oh, not good. Uh-oh. Hey, the guy dodged back a row? And why do I... Not enough power. Wow. Yeah, I guess that was power 5. Now I have to reload. Alright. Oh, I know to do lock and load to recover it. That's not the question. I have no idea what these random runes do. Let's just go ahead and lock and load. Well, thank you very much for critting me. Aren't you supposed to be dead soon? Oh, still need to do 1 point of damage. Insane. Whoa. Well, that's a big ouch. Holy crap. Insane Rage. Tainted Madman. Plus 10 crit, plus 1 action, and plus 15 accuracy. Not cool. So if I move... Can I pick a spot like that? What the? Alright, now I'm annoyed. Not cool, game. Not cool. There's no way I'm going to keep him from getting hammered. I haven't even touched this guy yet. Yeah, I'm getting crushed. We're not going to survive this. Well, isn't this lovely? This is just not going to help. Yeah, victory. So these unfortunate souls were so far gone into madness induced by the taint they could not stop attacking even when gravely wounded. Now they lie dead at your feet, nothing of value on them. So you leave as soon as you can, not wanting to draw more attention. Alright, back to here. So Kerac is severely wounded. $20 days. Now we need the infirmary. Disease and sickness are serious matters, but the infirmary can rid you of all but the most deadly ailments for a price. It may also take a long time to heal and cost you a fortune, but you may not have another choice. So, heal Kerac. Gonna cost 3 Leerg. Okay. I'll probably want to come back and purchase some of this stuff. We'll leave for the moment, though. Alright. Full heal, huh? She's hurt 3 days. That we can deal with. Alright. So deputies. Let's look at this screen real quick. So she can be a Venatorus. Improves our hunting chance, foraging chance, lure away, and opens up an animal's equipment slot. She can be a Scout Master, if we can unlock this. Requires Navigation 2 and 8 proficiency. And she can be a Chief Handler. So gives us max March skill, Horse March +1, lowers our consumption rate, and opens up multiple animal slots. Max normal movement rate, which is pretty powerful, and scouting chance. Alright. So proficiency, when it says cost proficiency, I know that I have to spend insight to gain proficiency. So prowess indicates how powerful and experienced the companion is. Each time their prowess is raised, they gain proficiency points you can spend on improving them. To unlock prowess levels 4, 6, and 8, you need to progress the companion's storyline to a certain point. Prowess is capped at 3 in Pilgrims of the Wasteland, which is the tutorial thing we're not doing. 4 insight and grants 12 proficiency. So I've got 5 insight currently that I could spend to upgrade my own skills, or I can spend it on a companion to get proficiency points that I could spend. So I'd have to, in order to get Scoutmaster, I'd have to spend insight, get proficiency points, then raise navigation to level 2, which is going to cost 4 proficiency. So I'd have exactly enough. I could get the Scoutmaster unlocked if I spent the 4 insight, bought the 2 navigation, and then bought the Scoutmaster for 12 total. We're going to hold off on that kind of thing for now. So it's highlighting in blue what she's qualified to do. And then for Kerac, we have Supercargo, which is plus 15% to our cargo capacity and plus 10 negotiate, and opens up a miscellaneous equipment slot. And Marauder Prime, whole bunch of requirements we don't meet currently. Gives chase and ambush bonuses. So more of a fighting crew when we're attacking others bonus. All right, so we will just put him in supercargo. Whoops. Oh, authority limit reach. That's right. I can only have 1 deputy going currently. Go to this screen, so I have to raise the authority in order to have the second one working a job. So we got 5 insight. It's going to cost 3. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Finalize it. And now we'll have Kerac go into supercargo. All right. Oops. So we haven't yet looked at the faction offers and trade opportunities and all that. I haven't checked for passengers, rumors, all that kind of stuff. I think we've done most of the exploration stuff I want to do. I'm not going to go explore the city again. not this moment anyway. We'll do some more exploration of the city the next time we come visit. So I think, yeah, we're down to Mancio stuff, cargo stuff, and trader stuff. We're down to 10 Bras, 9 Lirg, and 3 Changers. We do have some stuff to sell. Let's go ahead and sell. Actually, let's go look at the price history. So we looked at this screen earlier, but we didn't have anything to compare against. So we can see Kerac Station, where we were previously. The price data is 4 days old, and it's 3 to 4 days away from our current location. And we can see the buy and the sell prices here to try to find things we can sell. I don't know that there's much that we can buy here at Torzag to send to Kerac. And there's no simple way. I can't push a button just to find good options for me. There's a difference column here, but it's comparing sell price to sell price and showing the difference. It's not comparing buy price to sell price to show me like a profit opportunity. So that doesn't quite do what I would hope for. Or there needs to be another button that they add that shows, just takes the buy price and subtracts the sell price and then shows a positive or negative value. Otherwise, I have to kind of look through it. So, another thing to look at is on this list, what has lots of availability quantity-wise. So they got tons of supplies and they're only costing 1. That's good. What else have they got large amounts of? And or any text above or below these little entries that say in demand or not and so on. Some hides, some mushroom beer. Some pottery. Where can we see? I don't see a place here where we're getting an opportunity. Oh, yeah, rumors is what I want to look at in news. Let's exchange news. Buy the rumors. Underground fields, mushrooms thrive there. Everyone seems to agree that Devon's mushroom beer is the best, especially considering its price. In fact, due to the endless fields where they grow the shrooms in that city, one can buy the beer as well as the raw crop itself at a really good value. Alright, so we've got a rumor that we can get mushrooms and mushroom beer cheap in Devon. And they don't have a link for me to show where Devon's at. Where is Devon? Burnham, north. City to the north. Straight up the main road. Alright. Passengers. We want passengers going to Lumen, Crystal, and Crystal. So we're here. So Crystal, I don't know, is Flavo Calaris supposed to be Crystal? Not actually showing me a location named Crystal in particular, but it's kind of centered right there. And apparently Lumen is maybe right here. So when we go, we'll find it. Alright, so Lumen and Crystal seem to be the only passenger destinations. Next up, let's go check factions. So, there's a supply run to Lumen. Got 14 days to complete. Takes up 2 cargo slots. And reward is 12 of the good stuff. Wow. Alright, so combine that with... one tradesman option for passengers. That doesn't look too bad. We don't want conquer anything. We don't want anything combat related, which is shown like right there. So conquer your target or escort missions, things like that. We want just trade missions for now, supply runs and such. So 6 faction points. Plus 12 of the broth. That seems pretty good. Anything else going to Lumen? We also have a different house, but it's another 2 slots. We're not going to have enough slots, so if we sell our wine, I'm going to want probably 3 stacks of supplies. So we're only going to have 1 stack left over. So we're not going to be able to pick multiple of these if they all take 2 slots. Unless we pick up more more horses or something to bump us up another slot. Oh, there's a supply run for 1 slot going to the Lumen. And another one. Alright. No abductions. 60. Distribute for House Darius. Oh, it's contraband. That's why. So if it's red, that's contraband. We got to be careful. That means we're smuggling. That I'm not going to get into yet. We'll avoid that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm also limited. I can only do the ones that have this take button available. So the other ones we don't have enough faction status to take the mission on. Requirement faction reputation tier 1. So we have to do grunt work before we can accept a lot of these. Quite a few of them look viable though. So with this faction, we do have a Lumen run available. Only a single slot. Another Lumen run, single slot. Alright. I really have no idea which factions I want to kind of concentrate on in that. And so far... There's Arcane. Looks mostly like Lumen and Arcane. Let's aim for Lumen. Fly run for House Aquo, who we did the quest for earlier. Maybe we'll do that one instead. Still 2 supply, but it's 13 payout to Lumen. $50 mushroom beer. Alright, let's go ahead and take it. Escort. I don't want an escort. So I think we're either not allowed because of faction requirement or we don't have the cargo capacity. Yeah, we're all full up. So I need to sell my wine here. Let's pop back over to the market. And we're going to sell all of the luxury wine. And all of the standard wine. This is the stuff we need to make sure we keep for the task. Plus I want to make sure we buy a stack and a stack. So 3 stacks of supplies, 2 for the trade. Now let's pop back over and Church of Sergorod or Church of Oskul. Looks like 7 is about what we're going to get limit-wise. I guess we'll go with the Sergorod. Fly run for the church, 15 days, 1 space. Yeah. Alright. Then, let's go back to passengers. Go ahead and take this Lumen. Guarding your camp puts a strain, so we need another fighter or 2. That's at a minimum. We've got 72 consumption and 10 travel, 10 days of supplies with our current crew. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off buying anything else yet till we get a decent amount of cash sitting around. So no more passengers, no rumors. We've got our trade missions set up. We got our gear. We've done the other necessaries. If we go to rest, we have more options now. So we're sitting at compliant obedience, sustained nutrition. I definitely need to fix that. Let's go 150%. We're well invigorated. That gives us better movement, defense, combat strength, and max march. Try to work. We do have 2 points available, so it won't take vigor unless we get a negative event. So we'll go ahead and put them to work. And we'll put a good night's sleep in the Mancio's rooms. It's going to cost us some cash. That'll raise our morale, vigor, and nutritional level each. We're already fervent on morale. We're already invigorated at max. Really, it's just nutrition that we need. Which is mostly going to get affected by this, I believe. I think we'll leave it the way we've got it. Toggle medical supplies, you have 0. That's probably what I should also do. Go buy some basic medical supplies. Crew change. Oh, that's when we lost those guys, but then we've gained these guys plus the tradesmen. All right. And we lost the vigor again. Alright, so we're up to 9 movement now. That is good. That's because we've got pretty good stats. We gained a movement point. I was thinking of hiring some more scouts. Got 4 currently. I think I need to get up to 8 total. There's plenty here. I want to incur that cost, though. I think I do. Alright, we'll stop there. I believe some things reset each day, too. So passengers has not reset, but the market might have shifted. I'm not sure what else might have shifted. Let's go, was it market or temple? Where the heck did the, Where the hell did the medical item place go? The infirmary. Where was it? Wasn't in the Explore the City, was it? I don't want to go on another random adventure. Let's do this instead before I get killed. Make a save. Is that? So manual save. Yeah, where the hell did the infirmary go? I thought it was in one of those 2, but I'm not seeing it listed anywhere now. I mean, Huh. Anger him? No thanks. What services do you offer? Curse my enemies? Grant me power? Be blessed. Purchase charms. Sign a contract of binding. Yeah, it's gone. I don't know where the option went or why it's not showing it to me this time. Well, alright. Guess we're gonna go without. A lot of fun stuff. So we did open a slot somewhere. Not sure how I know which slots are open. I think miscellaneous. Are all of these available now? Arms, miscellaneous, sorcery, and navigation. Plus 5% worker or workforce rating. Tools category. Miscellaneous, harnesses, and offense. Not going to worry about that yet. Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm missing one. I don't think there's... Are they, like, not open at certain hours? And is it the wrong time? I can't advance time that I know of or change the time. So, I don't know. But we are missing an entire category here. Guess I could leave and come back in. But it's not here. Well, I tell you what. Let's just go ahead and travel. I'm going to buy more supplies. Get that filled back up. Yeah, one is missing. Oh, I can scroll. It doesn't show. I couldn't see the scroll bar because it looks like it's part of the design of the thing here. So I didn't realize I was scrolled down. So, good catch. That's where it's going to be. Infirmary. Alright, medical supplies for the road in bulk. Purchase a lot. Antidote, tools. Let's just purchase supplies for the road. Is it just one per? What does in bulk mean? Is that just multiply by 10? What are we paying for here? Ah, it's triple. So 1 versus 3. There's no savings there. No savings there either. So it's just how many do you want to buy? I'm going to go ahead and buy the 10 lot, even though I'm not getting any kind of savings. That's a pretty big chunk of cash for us. Okay, I'm not going to worry about a potent antidote or the rest of that, so Guardian, our gardens, arena. I think that's it. Now I think we're ready. Let's do a new save. All right. You approach the mighty gates of Torzag's shelter. One can see the scorching desert sky loom above the cruel black battlements as the Comitatus takes its place in the long line at the vast gate. You notice a lean woman dressed in a bureaucrat's tunic and a cape approach one of your guards and talk to him briefly. They walk up to you soon afterward. Apologies, Vagrus, the woman says, bowing her head politely. I work for the magistrate of tax collection. No need to be alarmed. I'm here to present you an opportunity. I have a message attached to some documents that need to be delivered to Arcane to a client of ours. Should you take the message, you'll be compensated upon handing it over. What say you? No time frame? So Arcane, we're here. We're going here. So we'll mostly follow the road, and right about here I might go off-road and go straight across. We'll see. So Arcane's probably the next largest city nearby. I mean, if they're not going to put a time limit on it, sure. I'll take it. Thank you, Vagrus. I'm sure it will be worth your time. Our client is a very resourceful man who works for a researcher of some renown. He awaits the message in the town of Arcane to the north, where he rents a small apartment above a tobacco shop on Silt-Wade Street. His name is Levantius. With that, she hands over the leather case, bows her head, and takes her leave. You can see her approach the guards, talk to them briefly, point at you, then walk away. After storing the case with your personal belongings, you signal the Comitatus to move on towards the city gate. The guards usher you through without an inspection. Alright, so there we go. We're back out to the map! I told you it was going to be a while in Torzag. So, we're going to be working our way up and around this way, following that road. So, up and around this way. And we're going to stay on the road for a good portion of it. Maybe the whole trip. We'll see how close we get and what our supplies look like, and if we have any encounters on the way. But I'm just going to go straight there. So, we have 9 movement now. We can get to there at 8. Or I can stop a little early. On the road, we're not going to get much foraging, hunting opportunities that I think would be worthwhile. So let's just go the max distance. And what do the numbers look like? 0 and a slight amount, and not worth it. Camp. That's fine, and not really worth it. Still on pay now. Let's switch back to let's stay on 150% for a couple of days. You are still hurt. A couple more days. Moving on. Six days left. We're doing good on the primary stats. I think one more day at the rate we're burning food. We're actually going to stay at nourished at this level while traveling. We're not going to get it pegged. All the other ones are 9 though, which is good. Let's go ahead and switch back to 100% instead. Alright, so we got the Vigilus Tower nearby, Acherus Quarry. We'll dip into those later. I think here is where I'm going to go off-road. Maybe we'll go up to this point here. So we are there, and it's filling in my map as we go. So as we travel, we're going to get more and more of these locations. I'd kind of like to dip into them just to see if I get insight. So we've got 2 currently. I mean, we're so close. I'm tempted. I don't know if these are going to have supplies available for us, and we've only got 5 days. We should be able to do a little bit of foraging on our, if I go straight across the wilderness section, but it also slows down our movement. So I think I'll go straight through this time. We'll dip in and check these out later and learn if they've got supplies to purchase and what kind of pricing and all that kind of stuff. So maybe we'll go to the next. We'll go to here and then go straight north. Let's go off-road. All right, now let's see if we get better numbers. So 0 to 433. I don't have enough leftover movement points, so it is going to cost me one of that. I think I'll... Oh, it's going to do it for both. All right, I need to make sure I leave 2 movement points. Do I want to lose a vigor? I think we got plenty of time still. Let's not lose the vigor. So let's hold off on that. Alright, how close can we get? We can get all the way to there, but let's stop there for the night. We'll be able to make it into Lumen next day, so we're doing good on supplies. So we're getting 0 to 403, but it's a low chance. But I think even with a failure, we're going to get a decent amount. Going to burn 2 of our movement points instead of a vigor, which is good. Sure. Leave everything else the same. Hunting, ooh, terrible failure. Nobody got harmed at least, and we only got a tiny bit. And Krifta healed up. Alright, into Lumen we go. Travelers, merchants, patrols, and the like move around sluggishly as you approach the settlement. While some of them are just loitering, maybe waiting for something, or just merely resting. Yet one group stands out. At the side of the road, you can see a handful of scantily clad... scantily, there's an I in that word. Clad people, surrounded by men in dark robes. Screams can be heard. There is clearly violence going on, but the rest of the travelers just walk by without paying attention. Upon getting closer, you assess the situation. The men wearing black are without a doubt priests of Sergorod, who are in the process of mercilessly whipping the poor wretches who appear to be unpaid interns who aren't allowed to quit. The angry rants of the priests make it clear that this is punishment for some offense, maybe an escape attempt. Blood soils the dust, and the Segorodites are obviously taking grim pleasure in their work. I don't know enough about the world and the consequences and such to get involved in this thing, so I'm probably going to just move on. But we could stop the comitatus and leisurely observe, offer to buy the slaves, try to free the slaves using force, or this looks like fun. See if they'll let you join. So we're going to say none of our concern for this part of the run, the adventure, until I learn a few things about consequences. You behave as all the other travelers and proceed without as much as looking. After all, something like this is a rather usual sight in the Riven realms, and it is not too sensible to meddle in the affairs of the Sergorodites. God, that word is tough. The agonizing screams of the slaves and the relentless cracking of the priest's whips continue behind you. Just business as usual in the Empire. All right, we are in. Some passengers part ways, thanking you for your services. So we got the tradesman, gave us a good tip. Look at that. And plus some House Darius faction. Lumen, the town. Those persistent enough to travel towards this blinding light and scorching heat of the South Calarus eventually reach the town of Lumen and glimpse its sandstone buildings protected by its shielding wall. Yet most of the settlement was built under the sands, sheltered from the lethal temperatures and unbearable shine of the surface. At night, brigades of prospectors flood the still searing crystal forest to get their hands on as rich a bounty as they can, hauling it back to Lumen's bustling underground markets. Apart from imperial crystal harvesting, the town is famous for its resident crystalmancers ever delving into the secrets of the Calarus. Stories. The Blind Jokra, the busiest tavern in town, and general inquiries. Ask locals about the town and its surroundings. Let's go the general inquiries route first. It is a characteristically hot day in Lumen, a gigantic canvas wall designed to shelter the town from the constantly emitted high temperatures of the nearby South Calarus only manages to fend off the worst of the scorching heat. The air is still sweltering, almost searing your skin. Accordingly, the streets are largely empty, as during the day, most of the townsfolk seek shelter in their dwellings in the expansive underground tunnels. Only a few merchants and their servants loiter around the marketplace, huddled under the shade of awnings and parasols. Talk to the merchants. A half-naked, chubby man regards you lazily while sipping something from a water skin. Two slaves fan him with large sheets of linen from his tattoos and a small banner hanging limply from the awning above him. You conclude that he must belong to House Oakwo, a collective of miners and prospectors. You must be out of your mind standing out there in the open like that. The man accosts you in an amused tone. Not from around these parts, are you? Ask what kind of business he conducts. I was right. You're not from around here, he smiles. Why, I'm in the same business as mostly everybody around here. Crystals. Harvesting, buying, selling, processing them, that, and the various logistical challenges associated with them. House Oakwo, Bedvios, and to some extent the damn Darius folks are all in the crystal business, a dangerous but rewarding enterprise. Surely you saw it while approaching Lumen. The one in the vicinity of Lumen is called the South Calarus and yields the finest blue crystals in the whole of the Empire, except for maybe Sargot Kala. The Calari are dangerous places. Apart from the crystal creatures roaming their labyrinthine pathways, they constantly reflect the light and heat of the sun, concentrating and enhancing them to lethal levels. Even during the hours of dawn and dusk, one can only venture there in special protective equipment, black glass goggles and absorbing reflective head blankets for beasts of burden and other animals. Now, that's not all, for even thus equipped, one will need an enchanted shielding crystal and a good sorcerer on one's team to cast a constant protective aura to block the heat. You ask about the trader and the other crystal forests north of the South Calarus. The North Calarus is a different story. Crystal there is of lesser quality, and all sorts of weird critters wander its confines. What practical use do these crystals have? Crystals are the raw materials of diverse and manifold uses. They can be carved and shaped to produce tools and weapons, but the rarer ones can be enchanted. For example, to store light or magical energy. They're a valuable resource, well worth the risk venturing into the crystal forests. That is mostly the ceruleus crystal. You see the blue one. Flavo, the yellow one, is quite worthless in comparison, but, well, it does have its own uses, I suppose. Elsewise, nobody would bother harvesting at the Flavo Calarus out west. Am I right? I think that's enough for that for now. The Tavern. The establishment at the heart of Lumen is swarming with people from all corners of the Empire and beyond. During most hours of the day, Vagri, mercenaries, laborers, prospectors, and all kinds of travelers gather here to share stories and let off some steam after a long day. Shafts of light penetrate the twilight through holes bored into the ceiling of the underground common room. The smell of cheap booze and sweet tobacco fills the air. There's also the constant low murmur of gossiping people. Drink, chat, and share news. One can learn quite a lot of interesting tidbits, tips, or hear news of faraway lands. You fall into conversation with a group of spice merchants who tell you about a friend of theirs in Tor Zag Shelter who's run afoul of some con men lately. I'm telling you, they should have not let their wives and daughters talk them into giving money to that grifter. The one with the largest belly confides. But would they believe me? Of course not. Now I hear the law won't budge and they're willing to hire bounty hunters to get back what is theirs, or at least get even. This might be an opportunity in disguise. Push them for more information. Nope, I'm not going into that business yet. Buy more rounds, buy a round of quality booze, buy a glass of the house specialty. So, story and alignment, 2 required. That's 2 Leerg, though. Ooh, that's expensive. Quality booze. Sitting at the bar, sipping your drink, you contemplate life's most intriguing mysteries. Look for potential recruits. You ask around and learn from the barman that one of their bouncers, a fellow named Harvek, is leaving the blind Jokra. He might be interested in joining a comitatus. You get the impression that the staff is looking forward to being rid of him as fast as possible. Talk to Harvek. You find Harvek sitting at a table near the wall of the common room. Nothing about him or his disposition gives you the impression that he works here. Empty mugs are strewn across his table, and he's playing with a nasty knife as you approach him. What you want? He rasps without looking up. Before you is a large man, completely bald, yet the first thing everyone notices about Harvak is his scythe-like right arm, compound eyes, and other insectoid features. Clearly the results of the taint. You tell him that word is he might be interested in work and talk about your venture briefly. Harvek's face remains blank, but he looks up and listens intently. When you're done, he motions to the chair across him. You've piqued my interest, I give you that. Probably he's cut off abruptly by the arrival of 2 burly men with malevolent gazes. This does not look good. Get up, one of the men spits, seething with anger. Harvek does not move. It's hard to make heads or tails of his expression because of the inhuman compound eyes. Think we're afraid of you because you were in that slammer? I said get. The man cannot finish because the bouncer lunges forward with lightning speed, slashing him across the chest with his mantis arm. The other fellow strikes him on the head with a powerful fist in retaliation, and in seconds a terrible brawl is underway. Another man wielding a knife soon joins the fray against the tainted bouncer, while the rest of the tavern staff seems disinclined to get involved. Help Harvek. Very low chance of success. Yeesh. Apparently I am not mighty, not dexterous, and not tough. Sit and wait and see, or aid the men in bringing down the bouncer. We'll just wait and see. You lean back motionless and watch as the bouncer carves up his assailants with vicious precision. There are moments when you think he'll go down from brutally powerful punches, but he always rebounds, retaliating with amazing ferocity. He does not kill his opponents, but maims them badly. In a minute or two, he stands over his beaten foes, bloodied and grinning. He leans close to the first attacker, the burly man who's bleeding profusely. Your carpenter buddies put up a much better fight. With a ferocious kick to the head, Harvak knocks out the fellow before he could speak. You look around the common room, and the contempt towards the bouncer is almost palpable. We better leave, boss. These cravens won't do anything, but I don't want them to be around when we talk. He rasps to you as he downs the rest of his drink and indicates the exit with a nod. You follow Harvik outside and lead him to a small cafe laid out under colorful awnings at the side of the Mencio. The bouncer buys you a round of Tarkian coffee. Coffee is warm and delicious. You lean back on the large pillows and face Harvek, who has finished his drink and is grinning at you. Sorry for the little scene back there, Vagrus, but that's done now, and I was beginning to get interested in your little presentation. Or those losers cut you off. I suppose an offer was about to follow, or perhaps you wanted to ask some questions, to judge old Harvek if he's capable, if he can be trusted. I'm not going to go into all of those details. I'm just going to see why he wants to be on the road. You mean apart from being tired of sitting on my ass and becoming unwanted here? Harvek chuckles. All right, might as well be honest about it. So the thing is that this recent encounter opened my eyes to the fact that those who got me into that damned prison are still out and about pulling strings. I might as well visit them and get some kind of payback. These people are all around the realms. I would not go out of my way to pay them a visit, but if I find one of them, I'll let you know and we can talk about possibilities. So apparently each of the companions has got a storyline, a series of quests or events we go through. And we need to do some of that to unlock their better abilities later. There might be other things you wanted to talk about. I think I have all the info I need. Time to decide. Hire Harvac. Plus 20 with the Loaders Guild. Harvac joins your comitatus. Harvac rises from his pillows and shakes your hand. You won't regret it, you'll see. I'll get my gear quick as a snake, he says, and I'll meet you in the Mencio here in a moment. As far as I'm concerned, we can get on the road right away, boss. Alright, we got our third companion. So I think I'm done there. Let's go, first the factions. So we have 2 turn-ins to do. And we have no rewards to claim yet, I don't think. Aqua would probably be the closest, if any. Yeah, none to claim. And it says there, 0 faction rewards available. I'll look at in a bit. What else did we have? The passengers already left. So let's check trade news. A strange store rumor might be of interest to someone like you. Sure. People gossip about a strange little shop in Sunrock, cut into the rock face of a frequented plaza run by an odd being. Nobody seems to agree on the creature's origin and looks, though. They say it sells curious goods and rare treasures. Here in Lumen, huh? Okay. Or is it near Lumen? And wherever this Sunrock is. Okay, so. Ah, crap. There's the trap I warned you about. So, did we make money? Yes. A large part of it we're now going to give away because we have they have doubled the cost of supplies compared to the last spot we were at. So it's going to be real expensive for us to re-equip our stockpile here. I want at least that at a minimum. Okay. So market, obviously, ceruleus crystals are kind of their speciality here. I've got nothing else to sell because we stacked up completely last time with trade goods for the factions. Not much of anything else available here. Looks like just the crystals. I don't think equipment. Oh, the ceruleus protective gears here as well. Cultivating a good relationship with certain factions will benefit you in many ways, one of these being special trade offers they provide at the market, but only where the given faction has a presence. You can check if you have access to trade offers on the Faction Details tab of the Leader UI. Higher standing with a faction unlocks better offers. Trade offers on the Factions Detail tab of the Leader UI. Is that this screen? Factions. Organizations you can cooperate with to gain their favor, and with that, rewards and boons. You have a reputation score with each faction that defines your standing with them, indicated in the bottom left corner of each faction icon. Tiers range from -5 to +5 and are shown on the top. All right. On these faction view pages, you can observe all the details related to a specific factions. You can see which locations they have a presence at. Visiting these places lets you interact with factions and settlements. Known locations can be viewed on the chart by clicking on the compass icon. You can also check your current standing and the benefits it provides, if any, as well as the rewards for higher tiers. Each faction has allies and enemies, as presented here. Reputation gained for a faction also provides a small reputation boost with their allies and associates, while gives a penalty to reputation with opponents and adversaries. Lovely. So we're at plus 25. We need 65. Is that 65 more, or is that total 65? I guess we'll find out. So they have different levels of presence at various locations. Torzags, where they're the most prevalent. Large criminal organizations of the Imperial Underworld. The guild grew out of the unionization of hoarders and loaders. Today it's a shadowy gang that runs crime in big cities, especially smuggling, racketeering, and prostitution. They're considered lowly thugs by most. Associates, opponents, and adversaries. Okay. We're working our way towards the positive. No tasks currently. Alright. So faction screen. So we'll probably end up heading back towards Torzag's shelter. Hopefully we have something going that way. And or we can go over to Devon. Youch. Nothing. The only two I could take are escort missions. I don't want escort missions. That I'm aware that guarantees we're going to get attacked if we do an escort. I'm not dealing with that part yet. So this is not good. We're having to pay a lot of money for supplies to get out of here, and we have no faction missions we can take outbound. Yeah, that's not good. Shipment of slaves to the Torzag shelter. I guess we'll make our way back and we'll stop at these on the way so I can kind of see what's going on there. Maybe we can pick something up here to take over the Torzags. We should check this for Ceruleus crystals. So we're in Lumen. We can buy them for 7.5 and we could sell them for 8.5. So not much of a markup. Assuming the price is even the same by the time we get there. Everything else looks pretty bad. Everything else is terrible. All right. Well, I hate to run empty. Oof. I'll just take 10. Do I want to divest? So we could get rid of a few things. I think we are overprotected on our... Well, maybe not, because that's based on how many people I hired. Let's just keep the crew for now. I'll start learning how to gauge whether or not to pare down or bulk up as we learn how to do things. Oh yeah, we have another companion. Hey, Kerac. Or I mean Harvek. So what do? You're a bruiser? Skulker, strong-minded, intimidation, savvy, con, perceptive, and tough too. 15 vitality. Mantis stab. Rushes forward, stabs at a foe with his powerful mantis arm. 3 to 5 damage at 87%. That's pretty good. Melee skill only from the front row. Distracting throw. Tainted mercenary throws a dagger at a foe before retreating from the melee. So 80% accuracy, 1 to 3 damage. Range line of sight. The Kukri Shank uses the curved dagger to cause a horrible bleeding wound. Again, good damage and accuracy. And the Big Boot kicks the foe with the intent of knocking them back. Alright. He's like a good one to add in for those fights. And then from this screen, he can be an intern driver or a guard captain. Guard captain is defensive, increased flee, 10 defense, 5 combat strength, opens up defensive equipment slot, and extra vigilance. Head of the fighting crew when it comes to defending the Comitatus. It needs charismatic and perceptive too. And an intern driver, 50 discipline, opens up a miscellaneous equipment slot. Keeps the interns in check and deals with all their needs as well as organizes their work. Alright. That just needs intimidation 2. He's got 1 of already. We've got 5 insight. We had 2 last time I looked, so we gained 3. I would love to get him doing something useful, but I don't think I need this right now, so I'm going to hold the insight. Oops. I need more guards? Really? That seems odd. Why did I have an increase in need of guards? I didn't increase anything else. $123. So I'd need 17 more in order to open up another slot. And horses only provide 7. I need 3 horses to get that. Let's not be buying stuff like that before we make an empty trip. Alright, I think I've got everything. Yeah, true. I also, before I could sign him a job, I need to increase my authority. Another point. Which we can't do right now. This is based on a puzzle game? No. Don't know what you're referring to, but I'm going to say no. All right. Before we leave here, I think that's a good place to stop for today. We got a whole bunch of the introductory stuff done, and I think it gives a pretty good feel for the start of the gameplay, at least. Now that we've got most of that introductory stuff and the initial kind of reading through two of the larger locations here in the local area. I think we got a lot of the world building, lore, storytelling stuff done. We got 3 companions in our group, which I think is pretty good progress. We're not dead yet. That's pretty good progress. We had some fun times in the first city and got beat up pretty good. But so far we're doing fine. Now that we've gotten through most of that kind of stuff, I can focus on the next episode, more actual gameplay. And I probably will continue to read most of the new text that we come across and the new descriptions of locations and storyline stuff. So with this kind of game, it's pretty important for you guys to give me feedback. It's very different from a lot of the other stuff I've played. And like I said at the beginning and the middle and now at the end, so many words. So many words. Lots of words. So I'm trying to make it as clean and interesting as possible with the narration of everything, especially for the folks that are just listening to the streams without actually watching them. I think they benefit greatly from that. So because so much of the gameplay is leaning into the really, really detailed and deep world building they've done and storytelling they've done, I think it's important to keep that up. So... but we'll get into the crunchy details of being a warrior merchant caravan here pretty quick. So that's going to be it for today for Vagrus. I am going to go have some lunch. Yeah, I'm going to go have some lunch. And then I will be back a little bit later with some more streaming. So hope to see you then. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. Greatly appreciated. Make sure you do all the things if you like the game and the way the stream is going and want to see more of it. This is one of those where it's really going to come down to your guys' viewership on whether I continue too far with it. So I am still highly invested and interested in playing it. So I, in addition to that, need enthusiasm on your guys' end. So there's very few people making content for this game, like literally 1 or 2 in the last couple of years. So I'd be interested in pursuing it. I like a challenge. I like hard. And I think this will give enough challenge for me to kind of lean into it for a while. So with that said, goodbye. Stay safe out there.